What is up, good people? Thanks for joining me for another episode of the Fantasy Football Show Live. This is episode 3 already. We're moving quick. We've got news, we've got notes, we've got NFL draft content. We're going to predict the NFL standings. We're going to predict every single win, loss for every single team in the NFL. My mic is acting like it's acting crazy here. It's like moving on its own. We're going to pick every win and loss for every single team. This will be fun because this pisses off people more than anything in the whole world. It's like, how in the heck, Smitty, can you predict the Seahawks to have 10 wins? Don't you know, blah, blah, blah. Or if I put somebody down at 8 wins like the Cleveland Browns, you guys are going to come for my head because the Cleveland Browns did good last year. Well, guess what? Things change. We're going to talk about the top 5 running backs, but the news and notes are going to be a big portion of the show, as will the NFL draft talk, which I have to my right, the NFL draft order. A lot of movement, a lot of things going on. Sam Darnold, all kinds of crazy stuff to break down. And we'll take calls. Of course, we'll take calls. What's that phone number? Here it is.
Call into the show. The bat line is 702-703-SHOW. Let's go!
Do so, and I will play it on the show, and you guys can chop it up via voicemail, and I'll answer it. What's up, Ivan? What's up, Balls Life? What's up, Nicholas? What's up, Henry? What's up, Brennan? What's up, Sean? Media, Dev2, he says, I'm doing 25 push-ups right now. I'm so pumped for Smitty. Thank you, bro. And Dev2 and I are I don't know if you guys are going to be in on this, but anybody's welcome to join me. But I'm going to get ripped. I think I have like 20-something days left. I'm a little behind, but I'm going to work out like a beast in the next couple weeks. I've been doing running every day, so I'm kind of trying to trim down. And, as I trim down, I'm going to start bulking up. So I'm going to do a whole bunch of push-ups, curls, all kinds of stuff in the coming weeks, so get ready for that. Ivan wants in. Okay, let's get to the news and notes. Let me kill the music and bring up the first topic. Oh, God, we've talked about this for a long time already. Every single week we talk about it. Who's at the front door? Computer, show me the front door.
Sorry, cameras don't work on this device.
Oh, God.
If you have a Fire TV,
Computer, stop. 2 of the 22 women suing Deshaun Watson for sexual assault went public on Tuesday. Guys, this is going to get bad for Deshaun Watson. Things aren't going to get better. They're going to get worse before they could possibly get better, if they get better at all. And there's a lot of reason to be worried about this guy playing at all ever again, let alone in 2021. Now, we could attack this a couple different ways. I most certainly feel that you should be innocent until proven guilty, most definitely, especially from like a criminal standpoint, and the law protects him from that. Okay, so he is innocent until proven guilty. But what people, I think, mix up is the NFL can do what they want. The NFL is different. The NFL isn't saying we're going to try him and place him in prison or anything like that, or they have a whole different perspective on this, and people have to understand that the NFL can do what they want. This is an organization that has done this before. They can do it again. They will do it again in the future. They can put you on the commissioner exempt list very quickly when things like this arise. And so everybody using the argument that you're innocent until proven guilty, the NFL doesn't do that, and they won't do that. And as soon as the Houston Police Department, if you missed it, the Houston Police Department opened up a case against Deshaun Watson. Now, if we go back a couple weeks, where were we at? Okay, Deshaun Watson, let's go back to the beginning when this first came out. Okay, several accusations. Everybody is quick to defend Deshaun Watson, which I don't blame anybody wanting to defend somebody before they've had a chance to prove their innocence or guilt. And again, I'm not saying he's guilty or innocent. I'm going to break this down from a perspective of what the NFL is likely to do, from a perspective of what we do know. And I'm hoping Thursday, I was going to try and have it today, But I'm hoping Thursday I've got a couple legal minds that I'm going to bring on here, a couple attorneys of mine, buddies, that can maybe break this down from a legal perspective. I feel like I have a good handle on the overall process that's going on and what we're seeing. But in general, we're going to see, this thing unfold a certain way. And I think I can kind of paint that picture fairly well. But the legal minds that I bring on will be able to talk about it from a whole nother level, from a legal perspective, from the case level. And I think that would be important. So dating back to the beginning, accusations came out. A lot of people were like, Deshaun Watson's innocent. This is all a scam. People chasing money. That may be the case, but you don't know that. We don't know that. We don't know if he's innocent or guilty. You don't know what he's doing. There's a lot of weird things that have come out. Like, I've had a couple pro athletes come on my Instagram lives, and we talked about what they do in these situations where they're going to get a massage. They come in from the team. They're hired professionally. They're provided for the athletes. Deshaun Watson was, targeting people on Instagram to come, do that kind of service or whatever. A lot of amateurs, a lot of models, a lot of different things. There's reason to be like, this is a little weird, what's going on here. So honestly, I got to turn this thing off real quick. Hold on. It's like blaring in my ear. Stop it. Stop messaging. Don't you know I'm live, Quadbox? This is my Quadbox gang. I just got to silence you real quick because I know you're getting excited. You guys want to talk football, but I got to hide these alerts right now. Vlad, they're going crazy. Vlad, I see you in here. All right. Now that I've got that out of the way. So Deshaun Watson, everybody quick to try and defend him, which I understand. But it's a weird situation to begin with. Like, he did put himself in a weird situation. Let's begin with that. Let's lead with that. The dude was going out and getting all these random different people to come perform massages, whatever. We don't know the truth behind what happened in those situations. That's what he needs to be able to prove. But now there are 22 cases. Word is it could go upwards to 30 individual people that are claiming that they were attacked, assaulted, unwanted actions upon them during the service. But yeah, Vlad says chill. And so the NFL is looking at it like this. Okay, there's 22 separate cases against Deshaun Watson. 22 separate cases. It's all lumped into one lawsuit, sure. But there are 22 separate instances. What people need to understand is even if 20 of those 22 fall through, let's say 20 of those people are lying and 2 of them are telling the truth, the case doesn't fall apart to my knowledge, and I'll have the legal mind to talk about that on and give us some perspective from a case level. So the attorney will come on hopefully Thursday and talk about that. But all it takes is one of these things to be true, and the NFL is going to act. The NFL will put Deshaun Watson on the commissioner exempt list very soon-ish if the Houston Police Department does, in fact, take this to the next step. Now, everybody was saying at the onset of this, well, if this was a real thing, then the police would be involved. There'd be a police report. Not the case. When people don't report things, when they're done in a certain way and there's nothing to report, there's nothing for the police to know about. So once the civil lawsuits came to the forefront, the police did then look at it. They were looking at it for a little while, and then they decided they would move forward. There was enough evidence to move forward to investigate. Now, that still doesn't mean he's guilty. The good news, if you're hopeful that this thing doesn't end up turning out to be anything, one, because there'd be no victims. That would be the ideal situation, right? We're not talking about this from just a football perspective. There are victims involved, and it would be fantastic if it was all for nothing, because that would mean there would be no victims. So let's put that out there right away. We hope that that's the case. And if it is the case, and there's a lot of lying going on, that's 22 people in cahoots. Imagine you're playing phone tag, and I whisper into Hall of J Game's ear, and I say, Deshaun Watson's wearing brown pants as he goes to dance disco style at the quartet. Whatever. And then he whispers that to media, who whispers it to Henry in the chat, who whispers it to Master Yoda in the chat, who whispers it to Dapper in the chat. And then before you know it, it's like, your mom wears red socks on summer days. Like, can you imagine 22 people trying to keep to one story and this thing not falling apart from the beginning? Like, there's no way 22 people are in cahoots. So there's going to be some truth and some lies, and there could be a bunch of people lying about what's happening. I'm not saying there aren't, but it's really, really, really hard to imagine that some of this isn't at least true to a crude point. You know, like Deshaun Watson had a little thing that he liked to do, whatever, and people can debate the severity of that, and the NFL is going to then decide what it is. But the claims against him are that there was a lot more than that going on, that this was more than just a reveal party, if you know what I mean. So, bottom line is this. I don't want to get into the innocence or guilty aspect of this because I am not anyone that can judge him, and I hope to God he's innocent because, again, then that means there's not one single victim, and that's the most important part. But if the Houston Police Department comes out with, you know, we're going further or we're taking this to the closed grand jury, which would be the next step, hit the thumbs up on your way in the door. And if you're listening through Clubhouse, you can find this video feed at thefantasyfootballshow.com, by the way. But if the Houston Police Department takes this a next step further, you can bet that the NFL is most likely going to throw Deshaun Watson on the commissioner exempt list, where you can take a problem, put it on a list like purgatory, not address it, not go after it, not have to hand out a punishment, not have to answer a question. He can sit there and just sit there and sit there. And you can bet that he'd sit there all 2021 because these 22 cases aren't going to go away quickly. And if he does any kind of settling, then he's going to get suspended. It's going to be interesting to see what happens if like a settlement or something like that happens to get it out of the way and he takes a punishment and he's not, you know, saying he's guilty or innocent. But then what happens if more accusations come out after that 22 type of case gets, you know, concluded upon? If there's any truth to it at all, the dude's not playing probably ever again, at least in 2021. And I think unless this news comes back in a way like, hey, the Houston Police Department cannot find any reason to move forward, we're going to close the investigation, then that heads in a direction where Deshaun Watson has a potential possibility of playing in 2021 and obviously in the future, because things are heading in a direction where it's going to be a he said, she said thing, which I think ultimately, no matter what, is going to lead to a suspension. And the NFL will say, Deshaun, you should not have put yourself in that position. That's been their stance a lot on these types of things, you know, and they're going to be able to get away with it. The sad part will be if Deshaun Watson is completely innocent and the NFL puts him on the commissioner exempt list and they react too quickly and he ends up being innocent. What you do to this man's career, taking him out of the NFL, rapturing him from the NFL for a whole year, and then coming back and probably never being the same player again. You know, never being able to recoup that year. Losing time is not a good thing for a quarterback. We saw Mike Vick leave. Mike Vick deserved to leave, but Mike Vick came back, and he was still good, but he was not the same player, never would be. You lose a year, it's tough to get it back. It's tough to get it back. It's tough to get back your flow. It's tough to get your camaraderie with your teammates. Your rapport gets all jacked up. Like Deshaun Watson, if removed from the NFL without cause or in a non fair way, would be a disaster for the NFL. This is a mess. Whatever way you look at it, it's a complete disaster. If you think that this thing's going to end well one way or the other, it's not. It's a disaster, a complete disaster no matter what. If it's true, it's horrible. Horrible for the victims, horrible for Deshaun Watson. We don't know what's going to be proven, what's going to be proven, you know, in terms of him being innocent or guilty. And if he's innocent, it's awful too. Awful. So that's the update on Deshaun Watson. Again, I will have an attorney on in probably Thursday. My boy should be on to talk about this and break it down. And what the questions I have for him, and if anybody knows in the chat, if we got any legal minds in the chat, what happens if, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but if 20 of the 22 people are completely lying, let's say, in a best case scenario for Deshaun Watson, or almost best case scenario. Best case would be all of them are lying. But if let's say he did something a little crude, and he's like, God, I didn't do what they're saying though. I did do some crude stuff the NFL is gonna suspend me for half a season for, but I didn't do what these people said. What happens if one of them is true and the other 21 are not? I have a feeling the case completely doesn't fall apart at all, because that one victim is not subject to the actions or lies or deceit or whatever that the other 21 are. So if one of them is true, the dude, it doesn't matter. He's not going to play. It doesn't need to be 22. The problem is how, if you want to defend Watson, and again, innocent until proven guilty, but if you want to defend Watson, how do you defend him at this point? I see a lot less people defending him. When I first talked about this and broke the news, because I got to break it from a news perspective. I'm not trying to judge him. I'm not trying to prematurely do anything. But I do give both sides. I talk to you about what if this happens, he would be out of the league. If this happens, he wouldn't be out of the league. He could get back in pretty quickly if the Houston Police Department says, no case, we're not moving forward. Like, I break down both sides. I'm not trying to condemn the guy. I hope he's innocent because, again, the victims, I don't want victims. We want it to be a lie, all of it. But 22 cases, how do you get through all of that? How do you prove 22 people are in cahoots and they don't know each other? Does somebody really bring them all together with the promise of money or some kind of conspiracy? Is it possible? Sure. We found out in 2020 that anything's possible. You know, I always tell you guys that the most improbable thing to ever happen in my world, my world's full of sports, is the NCAA tournament getting canceled, especially without toying around with the idea of like limiting capacity. In 2020, when the NCAA tournament was just canceled immediately, like they didn't even think about it. They just went, we're canceling the NCAA tournament. All the money involved, Vegas. I thought there was no way that would ever happen. I know that sounds weird that's the most shocking thing to me. In my world, that is probably it. That's the big thing. That's the big shocker that I thought would never happen. NCAA tournament get canceled. But then we saw all the sports get canceled. And we, I think we've all been through the ringer as a human race, and it's pretty hard to shock us at this point. Wearing masks, all that stuff, shocking us will be very, very hard moving forward. We're going to be a unshockable generation, man. We'll be called the Unshockables. That's the hashtag Unshockables, J Problem, right? Let's get some hashtag Unstoppables, and if you guys can even spell that in the chat, Unstoppables. Traded Watson in the 12-team Superflex Dynasty for the 1.9 and Curtis Samuel. Bro, so to answer a lot of this, when Kobe Bryant passed, that was also shocking. Like we endured a lot as a human race, man, especially as a sports community. Like if you want to talk about just one level of our personalities and who we are, like just from a sports perspective, we are unshockable. But Watson and Dynasty, bro, I don't know where I'm ranking this guy at all. Like, is there a place I would trade for him at? You do run into that moral dilemma at some point too, and I'm not saying he's there yet because he's got to be proven guilty. Like, I'm not going to judge the man. I do things from a football perspective. I don't let things get too personal. Like, I didn't cut AB, because when AB was going all through his stuff, I just look at it from a different perspective. I try not to let it, there are some things that I would probably say, hey, I'm not drafting that player ever. There are things that I would, draw the line on once certain things to be true. But I'm not going to let that affect me now until I know what's going on. But Deshaun Watson, I would say there's still people out there that say, well, I'd still take him in the 6th round in a dynasty draft because he could come back. That's way too early. Like, you're talking about A-Rod going way later than the 6th round. You're talking about, Herbert and probably not Herbert, Burrow. You're talking about Burrow maybe going right around that range. We're talking, in my opinion, this guy has reached like near double-digit round territory in Dynasty. Like maybe round 8, round 9, you could toy around with the idea of wasting a pick on him. In a super flex, for sure. In a regular draft, I don't even think 8, man. I don't think I go near it. Why even mess around with it when the odds are he probably won't play 2021? You know, and you're thinking dynasty. But if he doesn't play 2021, what's his dynasty value then? You know, is he worth anything in dynasty if he sits out a whole year, loses his flow and rapport, and he plays for an awful team that won't trade him? To this day, they still won't trade him. If you offered the Texans a first-round pick right now, just one single first-round pick, they'd be like, absolutely not. We're going to sit this man down and have him waste away on the bench. And we might even end up cutting him if all this ends up being true and not get a single thing, and we're proud of it. That's how the Texans view this, obviously. They have no idea what they're doing. They haven't managed players and acquisitions and retention at all well for a long time. And I don't know what the heck is going on over there in Houston. They literally were offered tons for Deshaun Watson. In fact, we talked about this in the quad box, right, Media and Vlad, that there was a really good shot. And I want to know what Media and Vlad think. Toss your comment in the chat and I'll drag it on screen. There was a high likelihood that what the Niners gave up for that number 3 pick when they did the trade up, that package, as Dr. Ross said, was specifically probably designed for Deshaun Watson. And when the Deshaun Watson news got worse and worse and worse and kind of broke out to become, this big, huge deal, then you saw the Niners quickly activate Plan B, which was go get Trey Lance, right? Not Fields. Trey Lance is the name. Or Mac Jones, apparently, which we're going to talk about in a second. The Mac Jones news is through the roof. And we're going to get into that now so my Niners guys can start getting ready to get crazier. Texans become worse than the Jets. The Jets are going to turn things around quick, Media. Quick, bro. Because the Jets are going to get a boy named Zach Wilson who is going to be a top 5, top 6 quarterback, potentially. No one's a lock for the next decade or decade and a half, maybe even 2 decades the way these guys play. But let me use my trusty cup holder so I don't spill all over everything. Yeah, so I don't know. And I'll answer this question here because it's about my boy AJ Brown. The GOAT says, I loved having AJ Brown last year. Who is your early big breakout wide receiver this year? Bro, I told you about AJ Brown. I told you about DK Metcalf, and I'm telling you right now, CeeDee Lamb is top 5 wide receiver bound. CeeDee Lamb will be a top 5 wide receiver. I got a lot of looks, a lot of eyeball emojis. In fact, let's rain some eyeball emojis in the chat right now in remembrance of all the eyeball emojis I got for the AJ Brown prediction. Who, danced outside the top 5, but we clearly know this dude's top 5 now. Like, I'm a little early sometimes, half a year early, whatever. AJ Brown's ready. He's ready to ball. He's ready to eat full course meals every single Sunday because guess what? Jonnu Smith's gone. Corey Davis is gone. Anybody they add isn't going to be a huge, consistent impact target hog. It's AJ Brown's season, baby. But CeeDee Lamb, get those eyeball emojis out there. CeeDee Lamb is going to explode and take over the world. At least, and when I say take over the world, I mean top 5 wide receiver, baby. And so, Justin Jefferson, we all kind of know he's coming. But, bro, he could be the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football in 2021. Those are bold. I don't expect you to be like, yeah, I see both of those for sure happening. I don't produce that kind of content. I'm trying to be ahead of the curve. Sometimes I miss. I'm not claiming that I get everything right, but I've been doing this 18 years for a reason. And I try and get ahead of the curve and land as many bold takes as I can. CeeDee Lamb being top 5 is one of them. Justin Jefferson being at least the top 5, but maybe the number 1 wide receiver in 2021 is another bold take for now. And come August, maybe it's not. Come October, everyone will forget that I even said it and be like, yeah, of course, Justin Jefferson is the man. Like, how would he not be the top 5? People will say that about CeeDee Lamb. And CeeDee Lamb's ADP will climb into an uncomfortable range for us because we all see it coming now. But damn, man, when August drafts come rolling around and you mofos are out there mocking CeeDee Lamb way too high, and I tell you not to do that. I tell you to be careful. but you don't listen, and you take him like a whole round and a half high in our mock drafts, and you're going to ruin his ADP. It's gonna be a sad day when you can't steal CD Lamb away in like round 4, round 3 with your magazine drafters with Bill from accounting. Hey, Bill, CD Lamb, don't draft him. Bill's going to know. A.J. Brown, 10-plus targets, please. A.J. Brown is going to consume. That guy hung with everybody with a whole lot less volume, target share, and usage. Imagine what he does. Okay, so Deshaun Watson, we're done with Deshaun Watson. Let's get on over to the Sam Darnold. Oh, actually, let's do the Mac Jones news. So this is all over. And it didn't start with this. This is like the icing on the cake. Mac Jones, ESPN's Adam Schefter. We've been seeing a lot of bad reporting on this, or just trying to post news because it's slow, whatever, and they need more news out there. This is coming from Shefty. So I'd love to know what media and Vlad think of this and all my 49er people. Hall of Fame, you're Niner guy. Jay Problem, are you a Niner guy too? I forget. But Shefty, this is pretty crazy because it's coming from Shefty. Adam Schefter expects the 49ers to select Alabama QB Mac Jones number 3 overall. This coming on the shoulders of all the other reports that we've seen over and over and over all week that we think is smoke and mirrors, but more smoke than anything. Because I don't think it's mirrors. I don't think it's trickery. I don't think the Niners are planning all this out there. It's just a bunch of smoke, a bunch of, we thought. But now that Shefty's talking about it, Shefty's pretty good, pretty accurate, probably the most trusted guy, I think, in the business. And he's saying that he expects. He doesn't say that he heard or he talked to Lynch or Shanahan, and they told him because they're not going to tell anybody anything. But Mac Jones expected to go to the 49ers according to Adam Schefter. We're a ways away. But what I can tell you is that the noise for this, the Mac Jones supporters are a lot louder than the anti-Mac Jones supporters. Like, I can't tell you how many people in the comments is like, no Mac Jones, no Mac Jones, no Mac Jones, and then boom, 1 out of 10. So I'd say good 10-15% of all 49er fans want Mac Jones, and the rest of them absolutely hate him. But these Mac believers are loud. They're vocal. They're like, bro, this is the guy. And I don't disagree. I will cry if it's Mac Jones, says media. I don't disagree that he shouldn't be the pick. And I know what a lot of people's argument is this, and I don't agree with it. I think they're wrong. They say that the Niners wouldn't have traded up to the number 3 pick from the 12 if the pick was Mac Jones. Number 1. And I'm not saying they're going to pick Mac Jones, but let me destroy your argument for a second. Number 1. You don't know what the hell they're thinking. Just because you evaluate Mac Jones at 12 doesn't mean they didn't see him as number 2 overall, okay? But the consensus out there, the mock drafts, the scouting did point, in fairness, to Mac Jones floating around 10 to 15 at the time of the trade. When the Niners said we're going to move up to number 3, Mac Jones was a realistic option in that 12 spot. In fact, I'll go so far to say that he was actually a reach at 12 when he was first being talked about going to the Niners at 12. But the Niners are smart. They're good scouting team. Not necessarily with quarterback. Put your earmuffs on for a second, Niner fans. I appreciate you. I bring the truth and the realism though to the conversation. That's why I'm on the quad box to give you my honest opinion. A little blinded with the quarterback spot, but I will say that you guys are amazing at scouting. Kittle, 5th rounder, Mostert. Like, how the heck do you like the line, the center, everything is like just through the roof. It's the quarterback. Like, somebody needs to remove the ability to think about the quarterback spot, in my opinion, from the organization and hand it off to somebody that knows quarterbacks a little better. But I know that's gonna not sit well with all my Niner people, but I think maybe this changes right now when they draft Lance. Lance is the answer. I'm going to ruin it. Spoiler alert. Lance is the answer. You draft Lance, you have yourself the perfect fit for your organization. Another dynamic, a running quarterback, a guy that had 1,100 yards and 14 TDs on the ground, a guy that had freaking 28 TDs and 0 INTs. Smitty, Lance picks up and runs too much. How do you make bad decisions in the pocket? How are you a bad decision maker in the pocket when you have 0 INTs? Now, you can cite bad competition, not the same competition, only one season to look at. But you can't have it all ways. If you're going to argue he's a bad decision maker and he picks up and runs too much, he can't have 0 INTs, 28 passing TDs, and 14 touchdowns on the ground. Like, Lance looks smooth. If you watch his pro day, he looks smooth. Back on point. For those that say that the Niners wouldn't trade up to 3 to take Mac Jones, I tell you this. Mac Jones had his pro day coming. Lance had his pro day coming. Fields had his pro day coming. And if you watch the Niners press conference, Shanahan said they didn't want to be left at the altar at the 12th pick and watch all the quarterbacks go. What happened to Mac Jones's value between his pro day and now? He climbed from number 15. 12 was a little early. Like I said, you were reaching a little bit for Mac Jones at 12. He climbed from 12 to 15 all the way up to being talked about as going QB. 5 straight QBs. There's been rumors that could happen. This would be the draft, the first time I believe that's ever happened in the history of the NFL. 5 straight QBs. That could happen. So Mac Jones has improved his value. Whether you thought his pro day was garbage or not, I didn't think his pro day warranted this bump up, but the supply and demand aspect of all this and the teams panicking and the trades happening, and the Niners were smart. If Mac Jones is their guy, they were smart. I'm not saying he is the guy. I'm saying if he, in their mind, is the guy, they were smart to make that trade before the pro days went down. Because once the pro days went down, Mac Jones at 12 was going to be one of those left at the altar, all the QBs gone type of situation. So I'm tired of hearing everybody say that they wouldn't trade up to 3 to take Mac Jones. They're preemptive. And I do believe a lot of smoke, and I don't think they're being completely honest. Why would you? When the Niners had that press conference, Lynch and Shanahan are going to throw up some truth and some smoke. But the Niners basically wanted to be in a position to evaluate all these players honestly, openly, and not worry about, well, if they poked around at this guy, then you know who they want. If Lawrence falls to him, they're 100% taking Lawrence. He won't fall. If Wilson falls to him, they're 100% taking Wilson. He won't fall. The Niners are at 3. They could tell everybody if they want who they want. The only reason you wouldn't do that is you could still potentially trade down. But, you know, and you don't want to let people know what you're doing because someone might not make a trade up if they know what you're doing. So there's still reason to be all smoke and mirror, or you don't know if like maybe Lawrence or Wilson got hurt or something between now and draft day. You never know when a player gets taken off the board. Or look at Deshaun Watson. What if something like that happened? You don't want to tell people your plan, even if you think you're pretty locked into knowing you're not going to get either of those two. But the bottom line is anybody thinking Mac isn't worthy to trade up, they didn't want to take the chance. And if they do want Mac, they predicted correctly. Because now Mac Jones is going in the top, I don't know, worst case scenario, top 8, but best case scenario, number 5. And any team that wants a quarterback like Denver, they will trade up on draft day. I firmly believe Denver will be drafting one of these 5 quarterbacks on draft day, whether the player naturally falls to them or they trade up a little bit. A lot of teams might trade up on draft day because when you think about it, you know who's falling, who's not falling. You may be a little bit apprehensive about giving up a boatload now, not knowing if a quarterback will fall to 7. But if you could get a top 5 pick, you'll trade now. Because like the Niners, they didn't want the value of the QBs to keep going up before they made their offer and acquired the number 3 overall pick. If Shanahan and Lynch did want Mac, and Shanahan and Lynch waited until after the pro days, the cost would have gone up significantly to grab that number 3 pick. It was preemptive. Even if they wanted Mac Jones, it was preemptive, a lower cost now. Every day you get closer to the NFL draft, the value of these guys goes up. Landing spots do that. If there's one thing that you take away from today's episode is that the NFL draft landing spots will improve values, especially in a fantasy football perspective and context, every single time. Knowing where Ja'Marr Chase is and his value right then is a lot higher than the idea of Ja'Marr Chase. The idea of Lawrence, even though you know where Lawrence is going, once these guys have homes, their fantasy values go up instantly. And so if you're ever holding on to a 1.1 or 1.2, wait to trade it. Wait till the landing spots get handed out, because very rarely are you going to be left with not liking any of the landing spots. That's not going to happen. And this year specifically is crazy because you have all the skill positions going one after the other, and this top 10 is insane. Maybe top 15, top 32. We're going to have so many offensive skill positions go in this draft. It's going to be the most exciting fantasy football draft we've ever seen, because it's going to go Lawrence, it's going to go Wilson, probably go Fields or Lance or Mac Jones. The other one could go next to the Falcons. The Bengals could trade down if they have their heart set on Ja'Marr Chase, who I think would be the best pick, and we could talk about that in a minute. And I've been going at people all week on that topic. It's almost annoying. But the Falcons at 4 could be looking at Kyle Pitts. I think Kyle Pitts would be a fantastic pick for any team. I kind of hope he goes to a couple different spots. I love Kyle Pitts in Cincy. You know, he can provide if you teach him blocking. I know he's not the best blocker. He dominates everybody else. Pretty much eats people on the field for a living. That's what he does. He just consumes everybody around him, dominates the space around him. That's what Kyle Pitts does. But maybe he can block. I have a pretty good idea that the athletic Kyle Pitts would learn how to block fairly well if you asked him to, but they didn't need him to block. They didn't want him to block. Just like people said in a different analogy, it's a kind of off-topic analogy, but Zeke Elliott can't catch passes. Do you guys remember that? When Zeke Elliott was said to be a non-PPR guy, he'll never catch passes. Stop judging players for things they're not asked to do at the college level. Don't tell me that Kyle Pitts, the biggest human being to ever play the tight end position, biggest wingspan in the last 20 years for a tight end or wide receiver, longest wingspan in the history of college football, coming out of college at the wide receiver and tight end position for the last 20 years. You're telling me this beast of a man, 6'5", 6'6", 240 to 245 pounds, bigger than DK Metcalf, bigger than pretty much any receiver in the league, as athletic as all of these wide receivers too. He's not just an Antonio Gates or a Travis Kelce, no offense to those guys, but those are big bodies kind of flopping around the field, dominating space around them, but a very one-dimensional type of player. And you have a guy here that plays probably better route running than a lot of wide receivers that are half his size. Dude's got amazing hands. He's a wide receiver. And you're telling me this guy can't learn how to block. Like, give me a break. Give me a break. If he landed with the Cincinnati Bengals, he would help protect Joe Burrow. He would also stretch the field. He would also spread out defenses. He'd also command double teams. And he would provide an indirect protection level and improvement to the offensive line that is equal to drafting Sewell. Because you know what you're going to do is you're going to also draft an offensive lineman in this very deep offensive lineman class. And I'm tired of everyone telling me that, Smitty, the Bengals would be insane and stupid if they draft Ja'Marr Chase or Kyle Pitts. No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't. Because Ja'Marr Chase is a generational talent. Ja'Marr Chase would stretch the field. Ja'Marr Chase would give you different defensive schemes you would never see if you didn't draft Ja'Marr Chase, and you would still address the offensive line in the second, third, whatever rounds, and coach it up. It's a very deep offensive line class. Stop acting like Sewell's the only answer, and that you know what you're talking about when you say that, and you say it that way over and over. So I explain myself. I say Ja'Marr Chase stretches the field. Ja'Marr Chase double teams. Ja'Marr Chase connections that make this offense move down the field. Moving down the field, moving the chains makes your offensive line less tired. You don't get beat up over and over. 3 and outs, Joe Mixon can find room to run. All of that cascades and snowballs into the point where the offensive line instantly, without even drafting a player, is improved because of Ja'Marr Chase. Ja'Marr Chase instantly improves the offensive line to an immeasurable degree, a degree you cannot measure, and instantly. And you're also addressing the offensive line in the draft. You're not just ignoring it. Drafting Ja'Marr Chase doesn't mean you don't address the offensive line. Everybody's talking about this, comparing apples to watermelons, and they aren't comparing apples to apples. You drafting Ja'Marr Chase or drafting Kyle Pitts with a later offensive lineman that you scouted and believe is going to be able to be coached up and be a good player is better than drafting Sewell alone. And if you think, oh, you can take Bateman or you could take another wide receiver, or Smitty, we don't even need to take a wide receiver because Higgins and Boyd are good enough, that's your opinion. And you clearly don't like Ja'Marr Chase and Kyle Pitts as much as I do then, because they are difference makers. They are the kind of players that create a dynasty that you can build around. Ja'Marr Chase does not come around every 5 years. Not even every 5 years. Ja'Marr Chase in that offense with his former quarterback, if you didn't know, Joe Burrow was his college quarterback. You're reuniting Ja'Marr Chase with Joe Burrow, and the rapport is instant. The learning curve's cut down to almost zero. These guys know how to play football and play catch together. And if Ja'Marr Chase lands on that offense, he stretches the field, the ball moves down the field, Joe Mixon gets more room to run. And I've told you to avoid Joe Mixon for 2 years straight now. Why do you think that is? Because he has zero room to run, and all they do is focus on him. And you can say, but Smitty, this is what I get. The most common reaction is, Smitty, how is Joe Burrow going to connect with Chase if he's on his back and hurt? I just told you that Ja'Marr Chase indirectly helps protect Joe Burrow as much as drafting Sewell himself. And if you think that's not true because you're not going to deep dive into it and really examine what a Ja'Marr Chase does to your offense and how it spreads out a defense and gives your offensive line a chance to even prove that they can do what they're supposed to be doing, instead of judging them based on getting smashed every single game because you can't move the football down the field. Difference makers, like Master Yoda said. Difference makers. Sewell can be a difference maker. So let me address this point, because this is what people then say to me. If the Bengals do draft Sewell, do things improve? Absolutely. Why would they not? Am I saying that Sewell doesn't improve the offensive line or Joe Burrow or the passing game? No, if they end up going Sewell, which is not a mistake necessarily, it's the wrong pick in my opinion. You're not maximizing value, but if they draft Sewell, they will dramatically have a better offensive line, and they will move the football better. The Bengals will be better. The Bengals will be a surprise team in 2021 and beyond. I think the Bengals, and you'll see me we're going to predict wins and losses for all the NFL teams, and you're going to be surprised where I put the Bengals. Grant's going to come on, and we're going to do it. I'm going to force the Bengals record upon him and make sure that we make it the way Smitty wants it. The Bengals are going to surprise you. I'm going to surprise you with the Bengals. I'm going to surprise you with how many wins and losses I predict for them and how everybody else in that division, where I place them. And it's going to probably create a little bit of heat in my direction, which is fine. But let me show this graphic here. This graphic is what I posted on Instagram. And the amount of craziness that came my direction from this, I can't even describe. So this was posted initially, and it said option A, Joe Burrow throwing to anybody, connecting, moving the football down the field, because Sewell is option A. Then option B, this is my option B. Option B was Ja'Marr Chase in place of anybody catching the football or not catching the football, anybody being placed where Sewell is, and the ball falling short of Ja'Marr Chase. So I created this graphic. This is option B for me, not the option B I just described. Joe Burrow, O-line later in the draft, like maybe the second round. Not to mention they can trade up. Joe Burrow with an offensive lineman. Higgins, Boyd, Chase, all getting connected with this offense blowing up. That's what I put on Instagram, And after I explained everything I just explained to all of you, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Here came Bob. Here came Sam. Here came Steven 1544, NFL Daddy 5677, all these Instagram people going, but Schmitty, how is Joe Burrow going to connect to Jamar Chase if he's on his back? And that's when I'm just like, oh my God, bro, I've had it. I'm not talking about it anymore. Because I was going, every comment I had to address the same thing. Did you not read what I wrote? Did you not understand what I said? We're on a different page, which is fine. Like, opinions can vary. No one knows what's going to happen. Jamar Chase could be a bust. He will not be. But he could be a bust. He will not be. But if he is a bust, guess what? I mean, that happens. I can't be right about everything. Everyone's going to miss a bunch of stuff, man. And analysts predicting, especially when you do what I do and you create a video pretty much every day on YouTube, you create tons of content. I get that one guy that's like, hey, man, I'm not following you ever again because you liked Darrell Henderson, bro. And it's like, okay, what have you missed, bro? Like, we're going to miss things. I could miss Jamar Chase. I could miss on Mac Jones, and he could be the best quarterback ever. And I'm more pro Mac Jones than anybody in here, too. I don't want Mac Jones for the Niners, but I think he could do better in that system than people think. I think any one of Lance Fields or Mac Jones would be able to march the Niners into the playoffs, even as a rookie, even if starting week 1, because of the surrounding cast that can handhold that quarterback and make sure that the mistakes are minimized. But as for the Bengals, there's a 50% chance in my mind that they do go Sewell, which again won't be a mistake for the offense. It will improve things, but you will improve things 10x if you draft Jamar Chase and you're smart about who you draft and bring in for your offensive line. Now, everyone's going to say they've had problems for years. The coaching isn't right. Well, they're going to have to fix that part too. I'm not saying that drafting Sewell won't fix that either. If you've got bad coaching, Sewell won't get coached up the best way he's going to get. Like, that's a whole different problem. Like, I don't know why people inject that part in when we're talking about the same equation and same variables that would affect Sewell. But anyway, Z-Man says Chase to the Bengals sounds great. Thank you, Z-Man, for not dropping the, but Smitty, if Joe Burrow's hurt, how is he going to throw to Jamar Chase? Because the next person to ask that, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. Because I've explained it 1,000 times. Okay, so Mac Jones, to wrap this topic up, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. All I can say is what I feel is smoke and what I feel isn't smoke. I feel like there's a lot more smoke around Mac Jones getting drafted by the Niners. I think the Niners have not indicated what they want to do to too many people at all. And there's been reports about that, which could be smoke too. We don't know what the heck's real. But odds are they're keeping it very close, and in-house. They're not telling a lot. Word is they're not telling any of their assistants what their evaluation is for the quarterback so that there's no leakage at all. But Mac Jones is probably on their radar more than Niner fans want to admit. Not a lot of Niner fans want to act like it's Fields, it's only going to be Fields. But I think they're strongly considering Lance. And like I said, Lance is the best fit for this offense because imagine, first of all, my Niner people, put on your earmuffs real quick. You guys aren't going to throw as good as some of the teams in the league because you don't need to. Now, that's a compliment, but I know it's going to be taken badly, which is why I told you to put on your earmuffs. Now, if you didn't listen, know this. You guys are going to get the same amount of passing production and skill out of Lance as you would Fields. If Fields is a better passer or whatever, you're only going to use that part of that person's game so much because you're going to run the ball a ton. And I don't think you're just going to draft Fields and open up the playbook to something that we've never seen before. Could you open it up a little bit, add more plays? Sure. And you'll do that with Lance, with the run. But I don't think you're just going to open up this pass and become the best passing team in the NFL. Lance gives you everything that Fields gives you that you're going to use. And he gives you an entire different avenue of production and play calling and excitement. And I promise you, for all you 49er people that are a little worried about Lance, if he's on roster, you're going to be so excited. You're going to be more excited to watch Lance play football than you will Fields or Mac Jones or anybody. Because in that offense, how the hell are you going to shadow Trey Lance, who ran for 1,100 yards and 14 touchdowns at the college level? How the hell are you going to shadow this monster that looks bigger than Cam Newton ever did running the football? He's a beast running down the field. So huge, so tough to tackle, so smooth. And he does everything at about like 80%, not in a bad way, but that he's so decisive and smooth and careful. And that's why he has 0 INTs, in my opinion. When I watch this guy's film, when I watch him at his pro day especially, the dude is smooth. You know, it's not slow. He's not quick enough. He doesn't make quick decisions. He's calculated. He's smooth. He's effortless. He's throwing 65-yard bombs without looking like he's unloading the football at 100% capacity. He looks elite. He looks every bit as good as Fields in the past, but everybody keeps saying that Lance is more of a project and that Fields would be more out of the box ready, and I don't agree. On top of the fact that the run aspect of his game, not that Fields had a quick 40, Fields does run, but Fields is more of a pocket passer, which I know everyone thinks that's good because Lance is like half run, half pocket passing, pocket presence type guy, but he does run a lot. I think that's partially because of the team he was on and the surrounding talent he had. You put him in the Niners offense, he will be more of a pocket passer than you think. He'll be able to sit in the pocket longer. And it comes back to, if he made such bad decisions of tucking and running, why do you have 0 INTs? How do you have 0 INTs? I know you can cite the competition. That's a totally different argument, so don't even go there. But how do you draw? I know I'm arguing with nobody. No one's even arguing with me right now. I'm screaming at you. But how do you, I'm picturing somebody disagreeing with me is what I think I'm doing. But how do you tell me that Lance is making a bad decision of tucking and running when he has 0 INTs? He's clearly not made a lot of mistakes, right? I think there are a couple. Somebody went at me once and said, Smitty, there's supposed to be an INT on this day in October. It was a sunny day. The ball hit the defender's hand and he dropped it. I don't care. He has 0 INTs. Look at it however you want. Could he have had a couple and someone dropped it? Whatever. I don't care. The dude had 0 INTs and 28 passing touchdowns. And my point being, on game day, when you guys script runs that are specific to Lance running the football or options for Lance running the football, how do you contain and shadow this man when you have Kittle, you have Ayuk, you have Debo, you have Mostert or Wilson, you have an amazing run game that continues to set up the pass sets up the run, and then all of a sudden, hey, I'm going to give you a third option. Do you guys not understand how excited you would be to have 3 dimensions to your game? 3 equally deadly dimensions to your game, not just 2. Run, pass, run, pass. Run, pass, Lance running is a completely different avenue. Lance would run for double-digit touchdowns as a rookie in that 49er offense and would lead you to playoff wins. Mark my words. And if you take Lance, I want to see you back here talking about how right I was and how excited you are to watch Lance on a weekly basis in this offense. Now, could Lance fail outside of that Niner system? Yeah. I don't want to hear people come back and say, Smitty, Lance looks bad in wherever, because I've prefaced 100,000 times, just like I did with the Chase stuff, that people don't listen or read, that Lance could fail in a bad system. Fields could fail in a bad system. Mac could fail in a bad system. These guys could fail in a bad system. I think Wilson and Lawrence probably wouldn't. I think Wilson and Lawrence would weather through ups and downs and 2 years come out as superstars that the team built around. But Lance, Fields, and Mac are on a different level, a lower level, unfortunately, than Wilson and Lawrence. The Niners climbed up to the edge of the step, and they're looking at Lance they're looking at Lawrence and Wilson, and you're just one step shy of getting the cream of the crop. But I still believe that Lance was worth it, and Lance would lead you guys to some wins. But Mac Jones, Fields, Lance, they could all thrive. Wilson, this is no surprise. Speaking Tuesday, the Jets GM Joe Douglas said that it was a fair assessment that the team will select a quarterback at number 2. Well, no crap, Sherlock. We kind of knew that, Joe. And I'm, there's a big picture of Wilson's mug right here. Clearly the guy that they're leaning. I think Salah, who came over from the Niners, and LaFleur, these guys know what they're doing. We know that. Like we aren't guessing. We know that they know what they're doing. It would be a huge whiff and punt of the future of the Jets if they didn't go Wilson, if Wilson's sitting there, or some surprise Wilson to the Jaguars happens. Make no mistake about it. These kind of things can happen. They happen all the time. You most certainly would see the Jets take whoever the Jaguars don't take if for any reason they change directions quickly and go Zach Wilson. But it's about 99% certain that it's going to go. I'd say 95% certain, because seriously, like, we never know. You never know. 95% certain it goes Lawrence, Wilson, and the Niners don't get one of those elite superstars. And these are elite superstars. Zach Wilson and Lawrence are on a whole nother level. They just are. These guys are going to be talked about like those two, like we've talked about Manning and whoever we're comparing Manning to. It's going to be, this draft class is going to be Wilson versus Lawrence. Lawrence versus Wilson. Could Lance be as good as like a Jalen Hurts in fantasy? Sure. That's 6 to 10 worthy. It's still good. Still very respectable. But it's a completely different story. Sam Darnold traded to the Carolina Panthers for, I think more than I expected, to be honest. People are like, oh, it wasn't that much. I don't know. I thought it was a second rounder. I was like, holy crap, But Darnold, am I giving Darnold a fair shake? Probably not. The Jets have been bad. I think the Jets will become good, but they needed to move on. We don't know where Sam Darnold's mind is at. His confidence shaken. He needs a fresh start, a clean slate. He would have brought a whole lot of the negativity and the lack of confidence, I think, into the role if they would have rolled with Sam Darnold in New York. Salah needs a fresh start. He needs a new quarterback. You never have a opportunity to get a Wilson or a Lawrence. Like, that is a huge opportunity, and they need to take advantage of that. So they had to get rid of Darnold. I think even keeping Darnold was like just a distraction. They need to move on. Even if Wilson went down for 2 games, you want to develop something different there and give Darnold a shot to go be something that he may still be able to become. And in Carolina, he's surrounded by weapons. There's no excuse for this man if he doesn't deliver here. And deliver, when I say deliver, I mean deliver for other people. Keep Christian McCaffrey great again. Okay? That's the new slogan. Keep Christian McCaffrey great again. Hashtag. Make DJ Moore great finally. Hashtag. He's got every opportunity to deliver the football to these guys and be efficient. Like, we're talking like super flex material, maybe, not 1 QB league material. Like, you're not starting Sam Darnold in any of your fantasy leagues because the QB pool is so deep. You have Brady dancing, and Brady and Hurts and guys like that dancing around 7 to 12. That's how deep the QB pool is. You could literally put Brady at 7 or 10, and then if somebody says, how do you put Brady at 10? He did so good. Well, look at all the quarterbacks that you got to drop out. It's insanely deep. So Darnold ain't touching your roster in 1 QB leagues, or you're doing something wrong. You're acting silly, man, with your lineup construction, because there's no need to be starting a Darnold. You completely missed the boat on drafting a quarterback if you're starting this man in redraft. In Dynasty, I don't like him, but he's efficient enough. He can do like Kirk Cousins. Who's excited to start Kirk Cousins in fantasy? He throws for a lot of yards. He has great targets. Like, Justin Jefferson. How do you not like that? But you don't need him in fantasy. The QB pool is too deep. And so Darnold, could he become like Cousins valuable, or a little less than that? Probably. I would probably say, yeah, he could. And, for that reason, that's good for the Carolina Panthers. It's good that they have an option. There's a shot that he doesn't start, but I'm pretty sure they're getting rid of the bridge master, and they're going to be putting Darnold in there, giving him a full go. So kind of exciting. news. Kenyon Drake. Alexa, show me the front door. I've got another possible intruder. It might be Miss Mitty delivering groceries here. Hold on. Here we go. Loading. It's Miss Mitty. She's carrying in about 8 sacks of groceries by herself. We're live. Nothing we can do about that. With the baby. Oh, man, I feel bad. I hope she's not watching. Babe, doing a good job. I love you. Meatloaf ready? We always yell at Miss Smitty and say, Miss Smitty, the meatloaf, we want it now. And she's a pretty good sport about it, but if she's not having it, she doesn't play her role to a T in those situations. But Miss Smitty's hauling in a big old batch of groceries right now, and I'm sitting here live on my show. I'm scheduled, man. This is scheduled. What am I going to do? Raiders coach John Gruden talked up Kenyon Drake. Look, John Gruden talks up everybody. If you ask John Gruden about his 4-string running back, he will tell you he's the number 1 running back. He's the best running back he's ever seen. Well, Gruden, why is he number 4 then? Gruden talks up everybody. But I will address this briefly. I told everyone to stay away from Josh Jacobs by midseason on last year. Meatloaf, says Webb.
Motion detected at the front door.
Alexa, show me the front door.
Okay.
Okay, so she's locking the car, taking the baby. Oh, she's coming in. Okay, I'll show it next time. I'll have the camera prepared. That was bad of me not to let you guys see what was going on there. It's my fault. That's my fault. We need to expose my lack of grocery help and what I'm doing around the house. I have a feeling. Let me see if I can switch this camera over. Alexa, show me the front door.
Okay.
She's gonna be pissed. Why are you showing me? Oh, can't even see it. Okay. We'll check back. We'll check back when we hear motion going on. Okay. Kenyon Drake, I told everybody to avoid Josh Jacobs. Sorry about Clubhouse. You probably are like, what is he doing? I'm showing everybody Miss Smitty walking out the door with groceries and kids and all that. Just showing how bad of a partner I am on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Meatloaf. Yeah, if you yell meatloaf at a hardworking woman that's carrying a child and groceries, you're going to get beat. John Gruden talked up the versatility of Drake. So here's the thing. Drake's coming into the situation with momentum. He's getting paid pretty decent money, like starter type money, you could argue. He's got the passing skill set. He's got Alexa off. I think maybe she's back. I don't think she's going out again. He's got the PPR aspect to his game. He's got, and Arizona didn't deploy or use Drake properly. They should have, but they didn't. And I think the Raiders are very capable of screwing this up too and not using him properly. But if anybody's going to pick up the PPR work there, it's Drake, not Jacob. So right away, 1/3 of the work is going over to Kenyon Drake, and Josh Jacobs is going to be there fighting for the other 2/3. And when you think about it, the way they're paying Drake, the skill set Drake has, the ability to score touchdowns, Drake's skill set is really, really solid in the yardage and touchdown department. And we think it's going to be good in the PPR department too. We just didn't get to see Arizona use him properly. But you can bet that Kenyon Drake's probably going to take at least half of the carries. So half the carries are going to Drake. Pretty much most of the PPR is going to Drake. That's already like 60% of the workload. what is left for you Josh Jacobs believers? Why do you think Josh, is it because you own him? Like, I don't understand why anybody defends Josh Jacobs anymore, especially with his actions lately where he's telling people he's not going to play. Then he tells everybody to F off on his Instagram. You know, he's just telling people to meet him at the stadium that are going off on him. Like, his head isn't right. His headspace is in a weird place, and I don't trust Jacobs at all. And clearly the Raiders don't either, because you don't bring in a guy like Kenyon Drake at that kind of money that indicates he's probably going to be more starter material than Jacobs, or at least 50-50 between the tackles. And again, the PPR work's going to Drake, not Jacobs. Then how are you believing in Jacobs then? Raiders don't. Matt Ryan. Why is this here? Oh, Chris Mortensen reports the Falcons general manager wants to draft a QB. He wants to draft Trey Lance with the number 4 pick in the NFL draft, while the head coach, Arthur Smith, believes that Matt Ryan has at least 2 good years left. This is a tough thing to break down, because the Falcons, I have the draft order right here. The Falcons have the number 4 overall pick. They might go in the direction of Kyle Pitts. They could go quarterback. We could see quarterback. We could see the Bengals trade out of that 5 pick, or the Eagles trade out of the 6 pick, even though they just acquired that pick from Miami, because somebody might want a quarterback that bad to move down a spot or 2. Like, Detroit could trade up 2 spots to Cincy, and Cincy could still take Jamar Chase. They would probably get Sewell or Chase still. Or they could get another offensive lineman if they did want to go offensive line. There's a reason to believe, I think there's going to be at least 2 trades in the top 10 or 12. I think there'll be 2 trades. I thought that the Jets would be maybe a capable team of trading out of the 2 pick, but now with Darnold gone, they don't have that flexibility to, if we got a big enough offer, we kind of like Darnold, maybe we'll do it. No, that's not going to happen now. But the Falcons, that pick is susceptible to being traded. The Bengals, the Eagles, the Lions, the Panthers, and the Broncos. And the Panthers no longer need to trade up for a quarterback, but don't kid yourself. If like Mac Jones fell to 8, I think the Carolina Panthers would take Mac Jones. I don't think that they would be like, oh, Darnold, we gave up, a second rounder for Darnold. They're fine having Darnold go to the bench and or at least start the season, and then Mac Jones come in. Make no mistake about that. The Lions, I think, are capable of trading up. Denver is the one team I predict to get one of these top 5 quarterbacks, whether it falls naturally to the number 9 in Mac Jones or Trey Lance. Either one could fall naturally to that pick. It's possible. But I believe the Denver Broncos move up a couple spots when a team is on the clock and they want that pick. So I think there will be at least 2 draft day trades, or 1 trade before draft day and 1 on draft day, within the top 12 or maybe top 13. Favorite landing spots for Kyle Pitts include the Chargers at 13. Can you imagine Joe Herbert to Kyle Pitts for 2 decades? Can you imagine? I'm getting excited. I don't know what I would do. Where would he go? Where would people draft Kyle Pitts even in redraft? It'd get out of control. It'd get crazy. It'd be like Christmas, man. Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, or Justin Herbert is what I'm trying to say. To Kyle Pitts, either one would be phenomenal. Joe Burrow for 15 years to Kyle Pitts. Justin Herbert, 15 years to Kyle Pitts. Herbert and Joe Burrow are like the Lawrence and Wilson. Like those 2 are the ones you compare together. Burrow and Herbert. For over a decade, those guys are going to be in the top 6. Who's better? They're both amazing. Same thing with Lawrence and Wilson. Obviously, throw in Mahomes and Josh Allen and gang into that. Like, it's a deep QB pool. But yeah, Pitts ain't fall. I agree with you, Webb. Pitts isn't falling to that 13. But what I said was there's a trade in the top 1 to 13, right? So what I'm getting at is the Chargers may want Pitts enough to move up. The Broncos want to move up for a quarterback. The Dallas Cowboys wouldn't say no to Kyle Pitts, or they probably wouldn't take a wide receiver, but they wouldn't say no to Kyle Pitts. The Giants, even though they got Golladay, they wouldn't say no to Devonta Smith. They may take Kyle Pitts. The Eagles could take Kyle Pitts at 12 or Devonta Smith. Kyle Pitts could go number 4, and he should go number 4. But these teams that want him like I said, I think there's going to be 2 trade-ups in the top 12 or 13. That leaves the Chargers in that mix. If they trade up, is Joe Herbert as good as Justin Herbert? No. Joe Herbert is not as good as Justin Herbert. What's up, Clubhouse? You still there? I still got my Clubhouse gang over there. Appreciate you guys. I think some of you migrated over to the fantasyfootballshow.com. So I'm going to get Grant on the line, and Grant and I are going to talk a little bit about this. Let me send Grant a message and get him in the room. But, man, I could talk about the NFL draft all day long. I really could. I could talk about this all freaking day long. Grant, here comes the link, bro. I'm sorry I'm a little late getting it to you. We'll get Grant up in this mug, and we'll talk a little bit about everything, a little bit about all this, and see what Grant thinks about the draft. I'm gonna ask him what he thinks about the Niners. I'll try and do like a rapid fire so that Grant doesn't get, so you guys don't get fed the same information like both hours. You know what I mean? Like I've already harped on all this stuff for about an hour and 23 minutes, which time is flying. If you ask me, this 3-hour show goes by really fast, and I appreciate every one of you in here. I'm a little disappointed that the thumbs up don't match the amount of people in the room. All it takes is 1 second to hit that button, that punch that thumbs up, and make that. Let's make it. Can we make it match? Can we little challenge action? Can we get it to say, whether it's 43 or 50 or 60, whatever the people are in the room at that moment? Can we get it to match? Just that's all I'm saying. Grant, I sent you the link. Hopefully you're getting that and you'll dial in soon. Media, I might send you a link in a minute. Talk a little Niners football with you. So maybe we'll do a panel. All right, Grant, if this freezes, then we know it's my system and we got to figure this out. Grant, what is going on? Grant, what's with the fake background?
I knew you were going to say that first thing.
Can you move one of those helmets and prove it's real?
God, I hate you so much.
You don't want to move these helmets? They're perfect. Oh, my God, it's real.
All right, so we've actually got this one with my actual logo on it.
Uh-huh. Show us the best helmet you have.
This is probably the hardest one to get. It's the Tom Brady Fire the Cannons.
Oh, man.
Custom thing.
That's
probably a valuable one.
That's sick, bro.
I don't know.
I don't know how he's photoshopping this. I think
it's exactly right. It's all Photoshop.
I think it's Photoshop. He's picking up one-dimensional pieces of paper.
That's exactly right.
You're good at Photoshop, Grant. I'll tell you that.
I learned from the best of you, right?
Yep. Grant, so sorry I'm a little late. But you got to bail whatever time you got to bail. So I'm going to put the NFL draft order right by your face.
Yeah.
You can see the screen, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So Jacksonville, it's 99% going to be Lawrence, right? So we don't even have to talk about that topic, right?
Right.
Jets are taking Wilson 98%, whatever. Anything can happen. Niners, I don't know if you saw any part of the show, but I said it should be Lance. I think the Lance hype will build, but I think right now the Mac Jones news is off the hook, and could it be smoke? Probably. How much of it, I don't know. But what do you think? Who the Niners taking? Schefter said today that he thinks that they'll take Mac Jones, and the Mac Jones rumors have been just going through the roof. And the Niners people are smart enough to know that Shanahan and Lynch aren't going to be sharing what they want to do, but there's a lot of reports speaking to Mac Jones.
And that's what's crazy about it. I've been hearing a lot of stuff about Mac Jones. I don't think that they would tip their hand like that per se. Personally, I think they're going to Trey Lance. That's just my opinion. I don't think that Fields is going to necessarily fit their system like they're wanting. But we'll see. It wouldn't shock me if they went Mac Jones, but honestly, I still think it's going to be Trey Lance.
Falcons, are they trading out of that pick, or do they take Kyle Pitts, or do they go quarterback? Because they've said I think they're split between ownership and coach as to whether they need a quarterback or not. The coach believes that Ryan's got more time left. Ownership, I think that's the way it was. Ownership wants them to draft like a Lance, or it would be Fields or Lance. But what do you think the Falcons do? Kyle Pitts or quarterback or other, or trade down?
I don't know what they're going to do. Honestly, I think that if they were smart, they try to acquire some more draft picks and trade out of that pick. I don't think they necessarily need Kyle Pitts. They've got Hayden Hurst. He's a good talent. I think Matt Ryan's got 3 or 4 more years left. He's not elite anymore, but he's serviceable. They have quality receivers. They have a good line, decent line. If I were them, I'd trade out of the pick, but there's no telling what they're going to do.
Yeah, man, it's tough to predict. I know a lot of people disagree with me and don't feel like you tell me how you really feel, but you probably heard my Sewell versus Chase argument.
See, you're the opposite ends of the spectrum on that. I think you have to go Sewell. I think they've got Higgins and Boyd. They have quality receivers. They've got a tight end. They're good to go. Their line, you've got to protect Joe Burrow. You give him time to do his thing, he's going to be amazing.
He's saying it. That's the word, the buzzword, Grant. Getting Smitty upset. No, I mean, again, I understand. Like, that's the thing is I understand everyone else's perspective. Like, I get it. But I think it's so funny, though, how people don't see what I'm saying. I'm not saying you don't, but people don't see what I'm saying, that I believe they'll protect him more. Like, and even after I explain it to everybody, and people could disagree with that. Say, yeah, I see what you're saying, but I don't know if I agree with that. I think Chase isn't that good. Like, that's the argument. Like, I feel like people need to say that to me. But when people say, got to protect Joe Burrow, Smitty, what are you going to do if he's not upright? Like, I'm trying to explain that you're protecting him more by having Jamar Chase and a second round or whatever lineman that because it's a deep lineman. It's a deep O-line class. And I feel like you can do both and have a better impact on Joe Burrow being upright, not to mention what it does for you in the future years. So, like, even if you were to say you botched the second round pick or the lineman that they bring in, like, I understand if he got hurt again. Like, a lot of teams face that with their quarterback when they're not protecting their quarterback. But if they make it through that botched pick or whatever and they head into the future, like, having Jamar Chase, you can eventually build this line up, and I think they're going to build it up enough to keep him healthy. I don't think it's going to not be improved. It's going to be improved. Jamar Chase, even if you didn't draft a single offensive lineman at all, the line will be improved from last year because Jamar Chase will do that. Or Kyle Pitts, if you get him blocking a little bit, that helps too. And I think that man can be taught anything, to be honest. But I see your point. I understand it. I guess my frustration lies with people not understanding mine over and over, but whatever. I'm used to it.
And what I think a lot of people, they're not understanding is Jamar Chase is that good. That man is amazing. I mean, he's phenomenal at football. And I hear what you're saying, but give me Penei Sewell. Let me have Jonah Williams on the left, Sewell on the right. You have got bookend corners. You have got Pro Bowl caliber, can't even speak, tackles. You've got to protect him.
I get the perspective. And again, if they end up going Sewell, they're going to have a better team. Like, bottom line, I just think it could be even better. It can be 10x better. But, give them Sewell. They're still going to be good. We're going to go over to the board in a second, and you and I are going to break down the wins and losses for the entire NFL if we can do it in enough time. You got to leave in what, half hour?
I got about 40 minutes. I'm good.
Okay, I'll try and be on time next time bringing you in. I was just ranting on a bunch of stuff, and as I'm getting to know my flow of my show, I'll get better at getting you in on time. Let's see. I was going to say, yeah, I'm going to have some big predictions for the Bengals that I might overrule you on just to get it onto the board, but we'll break down all the teams. Real quickly, Eagles, do they go Miami Dolphins, who do they take at 6? Or no, yeah, Dolphins at 6. Who do they take in?
I don't see how they're not going to take a receiver over there. I think they're going to take Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle if Jamar Chase is not on the board.
Yeah, and if it goes Kyle Pitts, then he will be. So it'll be Jamar Chase, you think? I don't know if I like that as much as I like a lot of others.
I think it makes sense. I think they've got Gesicki. They don't need 2 tight ends.
If Atlanta goes Pitts, what I think that could happen, and the Bengals go Sewell, let's say, then Chase goes to Miami. Correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know if I like that from a fantasy perspective, though. I mean, he'll do good, but I don't like Tua.
I can't stand Tua. We talked about this last year. Tua is just, his arm talent's not there. I don't care what anybody says. He He does. All right, so whenever you're evaluating quarterbacks, you want a quarterback that'll throw a ball through a receiver as they're moving. He throws the ball to a receiver, and
He
that
throws
works
the ball?
Do what?
He throws the ball? Tua?
What do you mean?
He even throws the ball? I didn't even know he throws the ball.
Yeah, allegedly.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, he just doesn't have the arm strength to get it there. He doesn't. I'm not going to say he doesn't make good decisions, but he's a little timid. He doesn't like to get hit. I don't like the way he throws the ball. He just doesn't. He doesn't do it for me. I think within 3 or 4 years, he's not going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Devonta Smith could fall out of all these players because of the weight concerns that teams, I think, recklessly have. They're not realizing what they're passing on. I wonder if he'll fall all the way to the Eagles at 12.
That'd be a steal for the Eagles.
Giants would take him I don't care if they got Galladay, they'd still take him, I think, at 11 maybe.
Literally, that would be scary good for the Giants if they could land him over there.
What about the Chargers? If he fell all the way down, can you imagine?
And can you imagine what Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Monte Smith could do? That would be dangerous. I mean, Herbert's fantasy value just skyrocketed, even more so now.
Bro, I get so excited over that. I think that's the most likely player to drop, Devonta Smith. I think he's the most likely player to drop because people are like scared of that weight issue. Heisman Trophy winner dropping all the way to what, 12? Or no, 13. It'd be tough to see the Eagles passing Devonta Smith though. But what if they went Waddle? Like then Smith could be there.
Smith, so it wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised with that.
I like Smith more. I get that. I think a lot of people do like. Okay, be nice in the comments. You guys are fighting amongst each other. All right, let's go to the board.
You're saying so. What are they saying in the comments?
Not you. They're fighting with each other.
Yeah,
Calling each other dumb. Okay, so I'm gonna come over here. Let me see if I can. Let's see here. We're gonna break down the. Let me switch my mics. Okay. Can you hear me? Am I loud and clear? Grant, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, so I've got last year's record here on the board. Let me turn the light on here. Last year's record on the board. Seattle Seahawks were 12-4. The Rams were 10-6, right? And AZ was 8-8. This was last year. So let's go through 11-10. Let's go through each division and predict what they're going to do this year. San Francisco, let's start there because we got a lot of San Francisco people in the room. What are we thinking San Fran? Remember, we got to add a game. So what kind of record do you envision San Fran having?
This could go either way. I think they could go 7-10, or I think they could go 13-4. It just depends on quarterback play. Last year, honestly, the last 2 years have kind of been a disastrous play for quarterback situations. So I think if they could get something with some stability in there with one of these young guys, they could offer upsides, kind of the way Hurts came in and offered a lot of spark at the end of the season. They could be really good. They've got the tight end, they've got the receivers, they've got a good ground game, they've got a good line, they've got a good defense, they've got everything in the making to be good. They just didn't have a quarterback last year, and I think that was their downfall.
So I'll let you do San Fran here, or I'll let you. I might massage it a little bit, but give me a starting point.
Man, I still think if you're going to run a rookie quarterback out there, 8-9, 9-8. I think that's on the low end. I don't think I'm giving them enough credit, but I think that
let's do this where the other person can move it up maximum 2 spots. So we'll rotate. You do San Fran. You said so. Your max is, or you? What are you saying? 8. So I can go as high as 10. All right, I'm gonna move it to 10 and 7. So you get 10. You get 2 digits of flexibility. All right, now I'm gonna do the Cardinals, and then you get to move it wherever you want. You have full full ability to move it 2 spots in any direction.
Okay. I like it, honestly.
He's leaving it.
I'm going to leave that one there.
And I could only move it up to 10 because he said 8, so I only had a flexibility of 2 spots. Rams.
Oh, I think Matt Stafford is a massive, massive upgrade. Massive upgrade. I really like the Rams this year. I'm thinking probably 12-5.
Whew. Woo.
But they've got to address that line. If they don't protect him, they have got to address the line.
I'm moving them down 2. So, man, we got 10-7, 10-7, 10-7. Now, guys, prefacing that him and I are both, like, pushing against each other for these records. So this isn't even like a collective thing. This is one of us is saying it. The other one can move it 2 spots in either direction if they want. So I could not move the Niners up more than 10. He said 8. I could only go to 10. So don't freak out. Seattle. Is this my turn?
Do what? Yeah.
This is my turn, right? 9 and 8.
Man,
But
I hate going 7, but man, I don't know.
I think this is the one division that could have all double digit though. Like I'm
I'm going to go 10-7. It could happen. That might be the best collective division in football.
It is. It is, in my opinion, better than the Steelers and Browns, and I've been going at people constantly on that. When we get to that, I picture a collapse of that division in some ways. But okay, so Seattle, do you want to move it up or down?
Just because we don't want to have everybody at 10-7, we'll leave it the way it is.
Okay, there you
I
go.
don't think it's less than it. I think they're going to have a minimum 9 games for sure.
NFC West is pretty tough.
That's
I
a
think it's
great
the toughest division in football. Can I keep this up and do the NFC or the AFC? Let's see. Let's do the NFC South.
Okay.
Okay, so NFC South.
This would be fun.
Yeah, this one's going to be tough. So we'll go with everything from last year. So New Orleans, New Orleans, Tampa Bay. Can you guys read it? Carolina and Atlanta. And last year it was 12-4. Oh, 12-4. Tampa Bay was 11-5. And if we go low on Tampa Bay, like what people don't realize is this is like Tom Brady's like the Lakers in basketball back in the day. Like as soon as you make the playoffs, it doesn't matter. They can have any record, like his record usually doesn't always match the way he's playing in the playoffs. Okay, 4-12, Atlanta. All right, these are the records from last year. Grant, you go ahead and start, and you pick from the top or the bottom, whichever one you want to start with.
I think New Orleans is probably going to have some serious regression. I'm probably thinking 9 and 8.
I like that there's no more 8 and 8.
I know.
9 and 8. I'm gonna go 8 and 9. I was trying to figure it out. Like 17 games is hard to like mentally grasp. Okay, 8 and 9. I think you're right. I think you got Winston and Taysom Hill fighting for who's going to be the starter. And even if one of them does work it out, and I believe they'll use both at first. They'll use Winston between from 20 to 20 inside the 20s in the red zone. It's going to be all Taysom Hill. It's not going to be part Taysom Hill like with Breeze. It's going to be Taysom Hill, the Taysom Hill show. And I think he ends up, starting more games than people think, because I don't think Winston's going to do it. But I think that QB carousel thing going on is going to create for some friction. And we don't know if Mike Thomas is going to play a full season because he was supposed to have ligament surgery and did not. So I'm going to say 8-9. So I moved it. Tampa Bay. 11-6. I give you a little wiggle room.
12-5.
Okay. Grant says nope.
There's a statistic going back to every quarterback since Bruce Arians had. By the time you have, I think it was Andrew Luck, Carson Palmer, all those guys. Or no, he might have had Manning. Either way, it was the second year that the quarterback is in the Bruce Arians offense. They explode. They do tremendously better because he has the hardest. Basically, it's the hardest system in the NFL. So I fully anticipate Brady grasping the concept. Look what they did down the stretch when Brady finally started grasping it. I think that offense is just going to get better and better and better and better as year 2 progresses.
And losses. Wins, loss. Okay, let me put that on screen so people know what we're doing that are stopping by. Okay, so 8-9 Tampa Bay. Okay, so now we're at Carolina. Ooh, this one's gonna be tough. 7-10, and I'm gonna give you. Oh, is it my turn or your turn?
It's my turn.
Okay.
See, I'm going 6-11.
I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it, Grant. God, do I do 10 or 9? I'm gonna go 9-8. I'm gonna give you the ability to make them a double-digit win team or take them even lower. I like doing this. This isn't necessarily where I want them. I just want to put it in a good spot for you.
Well, they do have a new coaching. They have a complete new regime in the works. It depends on how they bounce back from that, but they've got the talent. They just can't quite put it together. I really like them at 7-9
Woo!
or 7-10.
7-9, right? 7-10.
7-10.
Yeah, it's kind. I can't wrap my head around that either. I'm like, I can't believe we're going 18 weeks, and what that does for fantasy. Like, do you start your playoffs? No one's really talking about it yet. Do you start your playoffs in week 15? You kind of got to, right? But even so,
I would still do start them in week 14.
I feel the same way about it. I feel like that's going to get a lot of pushback because you're not playing that extra week we're all given. But I fear that you're going to lock stuff up still at week 16 and sit week 17 and 18. I don't know, man. I think we're playing with fire, messing with everything, but it's crazy. Like, now to rush for 1,000 yards, it's like 58 yards a game. Everything's crazy, man. Okay, so there you go. Grant and I together came up with the wins and loss predictions for the NFC West and NFC South. I know we're going to get a lot of pushback because people hate when you don't predict what they want out of their team. It's like mock drafting. Like, no one's going to agree with it. I understand it's going to piss a lot of people off, but I think it looks pretty good. I think the Cardinals, I think the Seahawks could be a 10-win team, though. I think this is, if things get ironed out there with Russell Wilson, but I think that's good predicting 9-8 because we don't know what's going on there. But that was a tough division. And I kind of feel like one of those teams won't be 10-7, but, we were pushing back against each other, so that's how it fell. All right, let's go move on to the NFC East. I don't know if you can still read this. Let me see.
Yeah, you can see that.
I'll move it over like that.
There you go.
NFC East. And this one's going to be crazy. So Washington, New York Giants, Cowboys, and Philly.
Probably the worst division in football.
Yeah. Okay, so last year it was 7-9. It was 6-10. It was 6-10 and 4-11 last year. So I will start, Grant. I will start with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm gonna start with the Dallas Cowboys because that's your home state. So I wanna.
That is my team. America's team.
I'm gonna throw this for a loop. I think I'm gonna surprise you here.
If Dak is back healthy, we have got major issues on the defense. We've got to get a corner. We've got to be able to rush the passer. I'm not a big Mike McCarthy fan.
Wow.
I'm going to go 9-8.
Ooh, I can't believe you're knocking down my prediction for your own boys.
Until I see it, I don't have a lot of faith in it.
9-8 is going to look bad, but it really will be a good record. You're adding another game. It's tough to. Okay, so your turn. Pick whichever team you want, actually.
All right. I think the Giants, we're probably looking at 5-11. No, 5-12.
I'll go 6 and 11.
Okay.
So not much of a move. Okay, go ahead. Or it's my turn. Eagles 9 and 8.
I'm going 7 and 10.
Woo!
I think from a fantasy perspective, I think Jalen Hurts is the real deal. I think from an actual NFL game standpoint, I don't think he's going to be that great of an NFL quarterback, but I think he's phenomenal for fantasy. So I just don't see it.
Okay, last team is the Washington Redskins.
And I'm actually extremely bullish on Washington. I think Fitzpatrick can add the stability they need at quarterback, but I don't see him jumping too many more wins. Honestly, I think 9 and 8.
We're gonna get a lot of hate on that one, but I think I'm gonna leave that. I think there's a lot of positives, but how many games will Fitzy stay healthy for? It'll be interesting. Like, will a 9 and 8 team? How many 9 and 8 teams can make the playoffs? Like it's gonna be tough. Like it's gonna be a better record, I think, than it looks, because it looks like a barely 500 record. But 10 and 7, I don't know. What's everybody saying in the chat? People are probably going nuts. Like, my team needs to be what in the hell? Football team Smitty. No, they can't. Okay, I don't see anybody like going crazy. Seahawks will go 11 wins, I think, says Miles. Miles, we'll see. We'll see where we head. So far, this is the prediction for the NFC East based on Grant and I pushing back on each other. That's not collective. It's more of like one person puts it down and the other person has only 2 spots of wiggle room to move it at their discretion. Green Bay last year, 13 and 3. Chicago was 8 and 8. Minnesota 7 and 9. And Detroit 5 and 11. This, other than Green Bay, this could be a bad division too. I mean, some people like Minnesota, but they're capable of being fantasy. Let me move this over. Capable of being fantasy, monsters, but it I don't know if it'll translate into like a 10-win team. I'm gonna start with Green Bay and say, 11 and 6. That gives you a little flexibility to go to 12 wins if you want, or go down to 10 or higher.
Thinking about going to 13.
Okay.
13 and 4 is where I think they
Woo!
are. I think they're a phenomenal team.
Woo, doggy. The rules of this game are when we rotate, the person that calls out the record, it can be moved 2 spots in either direction. So he pulled out his veto card and he said 13 wins. Your turn.
Let's go with Chicago. This is an interesting one because they still do not have a quarterback. I just don't think they're going to put it together. Let's go 7 and 10. I think they're going to regress from last year. Ooh, okay.
No soup for Chicago. No soup for you. Minnesota is the last. Did we do Detroit?
No, we haven't done Detroit yet.
Okay. So Chicago was 8 and 8.
All right. What was Minnesota last year?
7 and 9.
I think that's about where they are next year. Let's go 8 and 9. Give them one more win.
I'm gonna leave that. And Detroit, we didn't do yet, right?
No, we haven't done that.
Is my math right here? 4 and 13. 4 and 13.
Yeah.
I think that's being generous, to be honest.
So here's my problem. I am now a massive Detroit Lions fan because Dan Campbell, the brand new head coach, fighting Texas Aggie. I got to support my boy.
You probably got a Devonta Swift photoshopped helmet behind you.
I don't have a Swift helmet yet. Oh man, I've got plenty of Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnsons though. Man, I don't have faith this year. I don't like Jared Goff. They don't have Galladay now. I'm gonna leave it, even though I think they're probably gonna go 3-14. I'll leave that one.
Okay. All right, there you go. There you have it. This is the NFC West that we predicted. The NFC South, NFC East, NFC North, and let's break down. I almost want to keep that. I gotta take a screenshot of that. Guys, I'm going to end the clubhouse because you guys can't hear Grant anyway. So, Dutch, get on over to thefantasyfootballshow.com. Okay, ended that. I had Clubhouse kind of streaming there. So, I'm going to take a photo of this. And then I think we'll just wipe it. All right, now we're heading down to the AFC South.
This is going to be interesting. You also have to bring up the Deshaun Watson situation there because there's just a lot of uncertainty going on in this one.
Yeah, because you're not. I mean, it's tough to say. So it was Tennessee was 11-5. Colts were 11-5. Wow, it's. I don't think this is going to be. I think this division is going to be actually pretty tough, or pretty bad. Jacksonville 1-15. I thought they had 2 wins. Forgot. I forgot for a minute. Okay. AFC South. It's gonna bother me. I have a touch of OCD, Grant. Okay.
No, you're good.
NFC South.
All right, I'll start it off and go Jacksonville. I think they're going to bounce back. I think Urban Meyer is going to do a good job. Probably looking at 6-11.
I'm gonna go 7-10. I think Lawrence is good. I don't think they have a winning record, but I think that Lawrence will be so good right out of the box, man. And you got a good running game. I think this is a team that could surprise. They could even surprise on this number. I really do think that Lawrence will be that effective right away. Look at Herbert. Look at Burrow. This supporting cast is not that bad. Without a quarterback, none of it works. It's like having a vehicle, really good vehicle without any wheels or rims. You give Jacksonville their wheels and rims, and we're going to see that they're not even close to as bad as that record showed. You did that, right? So Tennessee, I'm going to go 10-7. And I don't even know if I want to. I almost want to. I feel like they could have less wins than people think, but.
So I like them at 11-6, but I wouldn't argue 10-7.
So leave it or change it.
Let's go 11-6.
Okay. Grant says no. He says veto. Okay, Colts or Texans, you go.
I'll go Houston just because they're 90 miles south of where I am. I don't think Deshaun Watson plays. I don't know how he can play with everything going on. I think that's going to be very detrimental. I think maybe 3-14. If Deshaun Watson doesn't play, they're going to be horrific.
3-14 says Grant. I'm going to say 2-15 without Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to be generous.
Yeah, you were being a little nice. Colts. God, I want to say 10 wins, but I feel like, going back to the Cardinals, I mean, we pushed each other around on that the Cardinals, San Fran, those records. So we moved them down to 10. I believe that maybe one or two of the teams in the NFC West will actually have 11 wins or more. But guys, keep in mind that we were pushing against each other. So it's hard for me to predict the Colts to have as good a record as every single team in the NFC West because I think it's the toughest division. So I'm finding it hard to not let that influence me, but I think like 10-7 is possible, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had 9 or 8 wins.
I think Indy's actually going to surprise a lot of people. I'm not a huge Carson Wentz fan, but I think he's going to. I think he's going to be phenomenal with the Colts. I really do. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be really, really good. He's got some amazing receivers. He's got a great line, a great running back. He's got a good offensive head coach in Frank Wright. I like it.
Okay.
I'll leave it at 7, but I really like 11-6.
Okay. And
They're gonna be good.
that's it, right? We've done them all? Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're on to the AFC East, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
AFC East. Oops, let me keep the colors the same. Buffalo, Miami, New England Jets. And last year, Buffalo was 13-3. Can you guys even see that? You can't.
Just raise it up a little bit.
There you go. Miami was 10-6. This is going to be a tough one to predict. Miami 7-9 for New England, and the Jets were 2-14. All right, kick it off, Grant. Whichever one you want.
Let's go New England. Man, I hope they really don't have Cam Newton as their starting quarterback next year. I know Belichick's on the hot seat. I just don't think they're going to be very good next year. I'm going 6-11.
6-11. I'm gonna say they're capable of winning games because that team is like throw up in your mouth, but like maybe effective for winning games. I'm gonna say 6-11 seems about right. Yeah. Buffalo, I'm gonna go 12-5.
That's exactly where I was going with that.
Lock it in. Okay.
I wish we could every time we have the forces just to go up or away because I hate it. I've agreed with you too much on here, and that's usually not in my nature. I'm usually one to argue with people.
Yeah, Josh Allen, like especially if they draft a running back, like even if it's later in the draft, but if they get imagine if they got a Najee Harris in the first round, or they took ETN, or imagine if they got Chuba Hubbard later, or Devonta Williams in the second round, or something like that. I don't even know where the Bills draft in the second round, if they even do, but trading up for one of those players, or Carter or Hill, there's a lot of running backs that have potential. Sermon in a Buffalo system would be pretty good. If they get a running back in there, and I like Moss a little, like I think Moss still has a shot, but if they get an elite running back, that team's gonna be tough to beat in 2021. I love the Bills. Miami or Jets? What do you want to do?
I'll take Miami. Now that Tua is firmly planted as their starter, I don't like him. I don't think he's a quarterback. 6-11. I don't think he's it.
It's tough because they have so many other pieces in place. If they were to address the quarterback position, I believe they could be like a 9-win team easy.
They could, but how many times did Ryan Fitzpatrick bail out Tua for the win last? How good were they at the beginning of the season with Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback? Tua didn't do much. I'm
gonna preface that this team has so much potential, and I'm leaving it at 6-11 only because I don't believe in Tua. But for the future, I really like what Miami's doing.
Oh, for sure. I think their GM's done a phenomenal job. I love their coach. I love everything about the Dolphins except the quarterback. Is
this not fair enough? I like Wilson a lot. They still got a lot to do, though. I think they'll turn it around quick, but
I don't know how Salah's going to do. They don't just give me the warm and fuzzies. Let's go 5-12.
5-12.
And I think that's being very generous.
Grant is handing out generosity as we speak. Okay, AFC North. This is what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for the AFC North the whole time because people get so mad at me when I talk about the AFC North because they think it's the toughest division by far. AFC North is the best division, and I think we got a tougher division, and Cardinals have a much tougher division. But AFC North.
This will be interesting.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to like maybe we move each other's a lot on this one,
Yeah.
or maybe not. Maybe we agree. I don't know. But Baltimore, Cleveland, and Cincinnati. So last year we had Pittsburgh at 12-4, and they fell apart, but still had a great record. Ravens 11-5. We're up and down, still finished with a great record. The Browns were surprisingly good, and the Bengals were not surprisingly bad. All right, you kick it off, Grant.
All right, let's go with Baltimore first. I'm thinking 9-8. I know Lamar was the MVP 2 years ago, but I think the league has got a blueprint on him now. If the Baltimore does not readjust their offense and do what they were doing and run him 10 times a game, they're not going to be very successful. He's not the greatest passer.
I'm leaving it. I agree. I think that he's capable of being really good, but he's also capable of falling apart and being not the same player for a string of games. I mean, we haven't seen Mark Andrews bounce back at all. I'm going to go 9-8 for Cleveland. I'm going to say the same thing. I think this division falls apart and is not. I mean, falling apart, 9 wins is still a winning record, but they're not the toughest division in the league. I don't think. I'm going to go 9-8 for Cleveland. I know a lot of people like them this year, but Baker Mayfield, that offense is very capable of, I think, struggling from time to time.
Right. I'm going to bump you up to 11-6. I actually really like them. I think what they've done defensively is going to be strong. They probably got the best defensive line in the league.
11-6. Grant overrules.
I think they're going to be a defensive ball club. Yeah, the offense struggles, but their defense is nasty.
Man, I wish I could go 8-8 here.
I'm right there with you.
So
I'll go 8-9.
All right, Grant.
Team just getting one extra loss.
Yeah, I mean Pittsburgh. Ben Roethlisberger is certainly declining, and they have a lot of wide receivers and weapons. If they draft a Najee Harris or an ETN, I think that is very beneficial to this team. And then they start running the ball a lot because they got to stop throwing the ball as much with Big Ben not really having the same arm as he used to. So if they can transition into they got to fix offensive line issues, but they can transition into a little bit more of a consistent running type team, they could get 9 wins or something like that. But I don't think they're a double-digit win team, and I don't think if they even make the playoffs, they won't go far. But
agreed.
Bengals 4-11 last year.
I like where Cincinnati's going. You give me a stool or your scenario as well. I think Cincinnati's actually going to surprise a lot of people. I think Joe Mixon has a pretty good bounce back year. They've proven that he can catch the ball out of the backfield. I think their defense is shoring up a little bit. I'm going to go probably 9-8. I really like Cincinnati this year.
Now I've got to decide what I'm doing here. I so badly want to put them at 10 wins just to get everyone's panties in a bunch, but at the same time, I think 9-8 is still a record that can get you in the playoffs or be right there. And I think that's pretty good. I mean, a winning record with an extra game added, I feel like that is pretty good. And I feel like the Cleveland Browns, in my opinion, won't be a double-digit win team. So I think this division will actually have, in my opinion, 0 double-digit records. But that's just the way I see this division kind of shaking out. I just think there's a lot of holes in all of these teams. And in Cincinnati, I do believe is going to be on the up and up. They're going to be fantastic. Okay. AFC West. This is the last one. Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers, Broncos. And the records were 5-11, 7-9, 8-8, and Chiefs were 14-2. Wow, kind of forget they won 14 games. Okay, you started off, Grant. Pick a team.
I don't know. Let's go with the Raiders. There's really no telling where they're going to go.
Whoops.
I just don't think they're better than what the record was from last year. So, I mean, I don't
Eight,
think
nine?
Denver's going to be good, so give them one extra win, 9-8.
I'm gonna go 8 and 9. Actually, you know what? 7 and 10. I'm going 2 spots down.
I could see it.
7 and 10. Okay. KC, I'm gonna go 12 and 5.
I'll go 13-4.
And again, if anybody's just joining, we have the ability to move the other person's pick up 2 spots or down 2 spots. So we rotate picking, and then the other person can complete discretion in moving it maximum or minimum of 2 spots down or up. Okay. Yeah, KC, I mean, what's there to say? Like, best offense in the NFL.
Absolutely.
They're susceptible. Like, they got to fix some things. Mahomes is running for his life, but, you know,
If they don't address the line, Mahomes is going. He's going to have a pretty good regression year. They've got to be able to protect him.
Mhm.
They're off. I mean, their line's weak.
Yeah, they got to use Clyde Edwards-Helaire properly too, because he can definitely spread things out. They need to make sure they run the ball right. They can't be doing this like we're gonna phase the run out of the, you know, they're notoriously one of the best running fantasy football producing offenses in the NFL historically, and like they have this beast of a runner. I think they could tear it up, and they just need to feed him properly, efficiently, and consistently. Okay, here we go. This is where I'm gonna get crazy. I don't. Chargers, 13 and 4.
Okay.
MVP potential MVP candidate in Justin Herbert.
I'm gonna have to back that down to 11-6. I think that's a little hefty. I know I'm breaking apart here.
That's right. I throttled it up so you couldn't get him too low. Okay, Den. What do you think about that? What do you like about the Chargers? What are you worried about? Like, especially, what if they add Pitts or Devonta Smith, or, you know, they trade up for Pitts, whatever. Like, if they add an offensive weapon, man, Herbert's gonna be the
You always got to think with the new coaching regime coming in. I think it'll actually benefit them. You know, I like Eckler. I think he's good for what they're wanting to do. It'll be a different change in offensive philosophy a little bit. I think they're a little thin right there. I love their receiving core. I don't know. In the NFL, you're going to get beat by teams you shouldn't get beat by. So I just think I would tailor my expectations. I would just dial that down a little bit.
Okay, so what are you doing for Denver? 5 and 11. I love how mad people, like, this is the one topic, Grant, like, literally you will have nothing but negative comments because the people that agree with you don't seem to tell you, you know, you're doing a great job with your predictions. It's always oh my God, like, you know, the Colts 10 and 7, they've got Wentz, and then you've got somebody in the comments going, the Colts won't win 4 games, and then you have somebody say the Buffalo Bills 12 and 5, but you have the Ravens, you know, winning 9 and 8, and, you know, no one likes when their team, you know, is being projected to struggle at all. But
I think Denver's. I don't like Denver. I don't think their defense is where it needs to be. You know, I don't think Vaughn. I don't know what's going on with the whole Von Miller situation. I'm not a fan of Drew Lock.
They got to get a quarter. They're gonna get a quarterback, but you got to assume right now they aren't.
4-13.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. So there you go. There you go. That's the again, guys. This isn't gonna be perfect in any of your minds. Number one, Grant and I were pushing back on each other and had the flexibility to take away 2 or add 2 wins and 2 losses to each of these. So this is not even collectively how we think. This is us having a little fun pushing back on each other. But interesting, AFC South. I'm gonna take a photo of this one too, and then mock this off. But this has been pretty fun. I like this. This is always good for debate. And Grant, you got what, like 5 minutes, or you got to go?
Yeah, I got about 5 minutes left.
Okay, what do you want to talk about? Anything? Throw it out.
I don't know. You tell me. There's a lot been going on right now. I can't wait for the draft. All I know is it's going to be a lot of parity. I think there's going to be a lot of trades. I think you're going to have a lot of surprise picks. I can't wait. This is probably one of the most anticipated drafts that I've been eager to watch in a long time.
Do you have any like shocking predictions? Like the most shocking thing that could happen? I think the Broncos will get involved and get a quarterback. I think there's at least 2 trades in the top 13 overall. Probably on draft day, but one maybe before. But I think people are going to be moving for these quarterbacks and moving for Kyle Pitts, moving for these skill positions. Someone's going to want Chase that bad or Pitts that bad. What do you think?
Yeah, I really don't think that Atlanta's going to take a quarterback right here. So I think that whoever they take is going to – Atlanta sets the tone for the draft, honestly, because if they don't take a quarterback right there, you're going to have teams salivating to trade up. And I think at that point, you might see teams like the Patriots who don't normally trade. They don't get aggressive. They just don't go after the quarterbacks. But Belichick doesn't have a quarterback, and he knows it. So I think he might trade the farm to try to trade up into the top, say, 8 to get one of the top 5 guys.
What's funny is how hold on, there's a little bit of breaking news here. Let me drop this onto the screen here. This is a topic that's probably worth talking about, so we'll jump right into this, and then you got to bail. Just tell me I'm leaving. But Russell Wilson, newly signed Seahawks defensive end Carlos Dunlap, said he received assurances from Russell Wilson that the quarterback would remain with the team in 2021. I honestly, man, I don't know how people have been even like thinking that Russell Wilson's going to leave. Like, it's so hard to find a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. There's teams that search for over a decade or more for that one quarterback. The Bears, look at the Bears, for example. The Jets, for example. They would get rid of every single coach and trainer and hot dog vendor and everybody to keep Russell Wilson on the team. There's no reason the ownership would get rid of this guy and have a crap team that you could never rebuild, to this level. And they've got DK, and Russell Wilson doesn't want to go anywhere. He's got DK and Lockett and just they got to work on a lot of things, but he's just wanting to be vocal, and I think he wants to be involved in stuff. Like I said in a couple other different shows, he's watching LeBron and Brady and all these guys just command what they want on the team. Brady says, "Bring me Gronk." They float Gronk up, and Gronk floats right over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, just magical how he just commanded that to happen. And it like, what player comes out of retirement and goes exactly where he needs to go? Like, this is crazy. And so, you got Russell Wilson that's not even involved and probably doesn't even have his own locker, and all he wants is a little say.
That's exactly right. And I don't blame him. I mean, they've got to find a way to protect him. If I were Wilson, I'd be pissed too.
Yeah. So I didn't think there was a shot that he was leaving, but this is good confirmation.
Yeah, he's not going to leave whatsoever, but I agree with them. They need to protect him. Was he the most hit or second most hit quarterback all of last year? I want to say he was the most hit quarterback last year.
Yeah. Hey, what do you predict for DK Metcalf?
Ooh.
Top is he
and
like?
I love me some DK. He's one of my favorite players in the league, but I'm all about blueprints. Unless Seattle is willing to adjust theirs, I think he's going to have a regression year. I think he's may not be finished as a top 10 receiver next year if it's not adjust their defenses.
Woo, Grant, that's a bold prediction right there. Grant dropping some bold predictions in here. Not top 10.
Teams figured him out at the end of the season, which was basically DK on a go route. And then by the time people were getting to Russell, he didn't have time to throw. When he did, you were having safety help over the top. DK wasn't getting those down the stretch. And I'm a firm believer in blueprints. And if they don't adjust, take Lamar Jackson last year. Teams figured it out what was going on, and they had a blueprint towards the playoff game, and they implemented it all last season, and the Ravens did not adjust. So if it doesn't seem to me that the Seahawks adjust a whole lot on their philosophy. So if they don't adjust, it could be a really bad year for DK.
Yeah,
a down year. He's still gonna be a wide receiver 1. He may not be in the top 10.
I think I draft him in like the 12 to 15 range pretty comfortably, which means he's probably like wide receiver 5, 6, or 4, 6, 7. It could be anywhere between 4 and 8. I don't think 8 would be crazy because there's a lot of good wide receivers like Ridley, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, they could bump, and then you got Hill and Adams. And so it's not crazy to think like 7 or whatever, but outside the top 10 would be hard for me to imagine. But, man, we've seen players drop off before. Like, it wouldn't be that shocking. As I said at the beginning of the show, like, nothing's going to shock us anymore. Like, what we went through in 2020 from everything from a sports perspective too, like Kobe Bryant even, dying like that. After he passed, like, everyone was like, you can't shock us anymore. Like, anything can happen. NCAA tournament getting canceled, all sports getting canceled, no people in the stadium, watching NBA basketball with no fans. Like, what is left for us to be shocked about? Nothing's going to shock us. So I have an open mind to a lot of things now, Grant.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I got to take off, but we'll look forward to being on next Tuesday.
Appreciate you, man. I next time work on a better background. That definitely is not real.
All right. Well, my goal is to have different backdrops every show, so we will see what I can come up with for next week.
Okay. Thanks, Grant. Appreciate you. Later. Grant. You guys love when Grant comes by. I don't blame you. Let me switch over to my command center real quickly. Switch over to the command center. Jefferson regression. I don't know about that, bro. I don't know about that. Now, I know a lot of you are going to be real upset about your team's win and loss projection that I had. But again, Grant and I went back and forth, pushing back on that. So, anyway. Where were we at? We have, where's my trackpad? Let's do some calls. Call up right now.
Call into the show. The bat line is 702-703. Show. Let's go. Call into the show. The bat line is 702-703. Show. Let's go.
Left me an IG message. A few of my normal. Here we go. Smitty. Yes, Dollar Bill, I will, but I need a voicemail, Dollar Bill. I need you guys to leave me a message. Giggles, I'm gonna send you a quick link. You better be good. This is my intern. This is one of my interns. I sent him a link right now. I don't know how I feel about him. We may or may not keep him. We may discard him. Just completely toss him out. Or we may keep him. I don't know. We're also wondering if he is my son. We're looking into that. If he is, then he's going to stay on the show regardless. He might take over someday. If he's not my son and it comes back that he's not, then we're not keeping him. Just kidding. Mr. Giggles, I sent you the link, bro. So come on up. And if you guys want to call in, again, if you get the voicemail, leave a message. I will play your voicemail on the show. Also, you can send me an IG message. Media's your boy. We'll hopefully get him on. Grant knows his stuff. I like Grant. Grant was the first intern, and Grant's here to stay. So Grant is a fantastic addition to the show. J Problem says Justin Jefferson will regress for some teams will treat him as the number one and see the number one corner now. It's a good thing to bring up. You called in. Okay. And I sent you a link. Check your Instagram DMs, bro. I sent you a link you can dial in. So not only are you leaving a message, you're also going to be dialing in. So let's listen to your message here.
Here, just wanted to give my reactions to the record. Just wanted to see what my thoughts are. Please call me back. We could talk anything else. If you have any questions for me. So yeah, let me get in this. Bye bye.
Hold on, quiet. We're listening to your voicemail. Okay. And I love the dude. You drop your phone in water again? Like, what's going on? I can't even see you.
What?
I put it in some rice, bro.
Yeah, man, I know my lighting's kind of bad.
Your lighting. You have the reverse thing going on. You're putting the lighting all behind you, and then you come up in the dark, like you're. It's almost like you're. Or is this? Maybe it's photo. Maybe it's green screen.
Here, let me try one.
No. I like it. Don't change a thing. This is the way you do it. We don't want you coming in crystal clear. We like it like this. This is the way Giggles does it. Okay, Giggles. This is 49er Media from Instagram. We call him my I don't know. I guess I'm your uncle or your stepfather. We don't know yet. But this guy is a 49er guy, 49er page, and he probably has something to say about what record we gave you, right? 10-7.
Yeah, 10-7. So I first off disagree with Seattle's record because you had them at 10-7 too, right?
Let me put it up on screen. I took a screenshot of it. I know you're all gonna have a beef with these, but again, in my defense, we push back on each other, and I basically predicted something, and then he would move it. So these aren't really how I feel, and I just want everybody to understand that this is not my prediction. This is a combination of both of us when we went through it. So Seattle, let me send this to my computer real quick.
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Computer, stop. Computer, how many wins will the Niners have in 2021?
Here's something I found on the web. According to BimmerPost.com, assuming the best possible result, the Niners will go 10-6. The Hawks 9-7.
Let's-
The Giants 9-7.
Chad, what?
Division, but that's a long shot.
Wait.
Bro,
That computer
bro,
doesn't
first-
even know it's 17
I
games.
know the computer doesn't know it's 17 games, but she said 10 wins. Like I feel a little vindicated, bro. I feel a little vindicated. Computer, how many wins will the Cardinals have in 2021?
Here's something I found on the web. According to VivailBirdos.com, their current roster projects for 30 to 31 wins above replacement per Fangraphs depth.
Oh, that's
Computer, shut up.
You probably have to say Arizona Cardinals.
Computer, how many wins will the Arizona Cardinals have?
The Cardinals finished the season third in the NFC West at 8-8.
Shut your mouth. Whatever. But hey, man, that was pretty crazy. She agrees. 10 wins.
But I mean, she doesn't even know that there's 17 games there.
Don't worry about that. That's you're focusing on the wrong details here, Giggles. I mean, okay. So here's what we predicted. Again, this was Grant and I together.
Yep.
Seattle 9-8. I think I forget where I put him. I don't know if I put him at 10. I might have put him at 10 wins, or I might have put him at 9-8, thinking he was going to vault him up to 10 wins. But I firmly believe, if this is not mine, this is Grant and I together, I think we'll have double-digit wins across the board in our division, and I think the NFC West is the toughest division in the NFL. And so,
Okay, well, I think okay, so first off, I'm gonna start with Seattle, I guess. I just have concerns about their defense. Also, like you were saying, probably defenses will be able to figure out like DK Metcalf now, and so I feel like they'll still be competitive because they do have Russell Wilson, so you can't count that out.
Putting words in my mouth, Giggles. I didn't say that. That wasn't me. That was my that was your boss, my intern number one, Grant, who said that DK Metcalf will get figured out. That was your boss.
My bad.
He said that. The lead
boss
intern.
said that. Okay, well, I do agree with him on that, and I don't know. I think, like I said, I don't like Seattle. Obviously, you can't count them out because they just have Russell Wilson. But yeah, they don't have an offensive line. Their defense.
Well, I don't think 9-8 is crazy though. I think that that's struggling right there. 9-8 is struggling for the Seahawks, and I think, I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams and Seahawks had the same record, and the Cardinals and Niners were above both of them at 11 wins or whatever. I wouldn't be shocked at all. Again, this isn't my record, but I think at least 2 of these teams will actually have more than 10 wins, but it was interesting to.
Oh, what was Arizona's record last year?
I think they were 8-8.
Okay, so I guess Arizona, I guess I have to kind of agree on that one because I do think they've improved. They worked on the offensive line. They have J.J. Watt, so I think you guys definitely have improved, and I think like around 2 more wins is.
Where's my football? When I talk about
not
I gotta hold my football. Giggles.
too bad.
How many?
Correct.
Okay, so let me ask you this question: How many wins do we have if we draft Najee Harris in the first round?
Bump it up to like. I think it stays actually because just the division, like you're in a tough
But
division.
it bumps it up, stays that way.
Well,
What kind
okay,
of
I
answer
think
is that?
Okay,
This is why we call him Giggles. You
it's
pressure him, he starts
stay-
he cracks under the giggle. He starts giggling and he cracks.
Okay, I think it stays the same. But I mean, if they make some crazy draft move that can make them better, sure. But again, they're just every team in the NFC West. We're the best division in football. We're the most competitive, like the toughest division in football. So
Easily.
I think 10
Easily.
is actually probably
Actually, probably.
like
Giggles!
around the right, around the right number.
Okay, give me your Niners. Give me your Niners prediction.
If we stay healthy and assuming Garoppolo is the starter for, let's say, like 14 games, I'm going to say 11 wins. So that would give us 11-6.
And if you start a rookie in week 1 or week 2 or week 3.
Ooh. If we start a rookie, I'm gonna say just like bump that down up probably like 9 and like 9 wins, I think.
Okay. I feel
Or-
like
yeah.
you're being fair with your team. You're not being overly crazy. And this is the last thing I'll have you talk on, Giggles. Then I'm gonna boot you
Yep.
from. But I think a lot of people like you. You might be here to stay. Everybody, drop a line if you like Giggles and you want Giggles back. Where's my graphic here for Mac Jones? Speak to this right here, because Shefty is a pretty darn good source. You can't just dismiss this and go, it's all smoke. Like, explain why it's smoke. Explain how Schefter could be wrong and why Schefter's thinking this. This is the number 1 man at his job.
Okay, I'm pretty sure didn't Schefter also report about that during like the Quinn and Williams year? There was all that smoke, and then I'm pretty sure.
So you're going to pull one thing out of Schefter's resume.
Okay,
where
well,
he
I'm
missed.
just saying that's an example. But I think the Niners, they don't leak stuff. They're not going to tell a reporter like Adam Schefter, obviously, what they're doing.
And he didn't
So
say
I
that.
think,
He's predicting it. Why is he predicting
and I just don't see it happening. I think the Niners want like a clear upgrade, like big enough upgrade. Also, like after hearing the press conference, we know a lot more. I would say, and just because of what Shanahan said, I'm sure he likes Mac Jones, but I'm sure he likes Fields or Lance.
You know what's funny
even more.
is how biased you guys are in a great way. Like I appreciate all of you. My Niners faithful or my followers are my Niners fans are amazing, and I always go to bat for you guys. So this is not a negative. This is just a positive. It's a positive thing. You guys are loyal to a T, loyal to a fault. But everybody says that Mac Jones, they want a clear upgrade. If they like Mac Jones, they think he's a clear upgrade. You know what I mean? Like if they think Mac Jones is worth trading up for, then and you don't know that, you're assuming that they don't feel he is. But I feel like they knew his value was going to go up, and it did. So like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm not sure if you were here. I think you were.
Yeah, I've been
Yeah,
here
you
for most
trade-
of this show.
You trade up for number 3, on the assumption that Mac Jones is going to, where he's good value at 12 or maybe even a little bit of a reach, and he climbs all the way up to number 6, 7 overall, like Mac Jones will probably go in the top 8, right? Would you say a team trades up and Mac Jones is gone by 7, 8?
Yeah. I would.
So if the plan was to trade up for Mac Jones, they were smart, like, because he wouldn't have been there at 12. They would have been left at the altar. And he was the one, like, when you think about it, if you want to break down what Shanahan and Lynch actually said, though, like, this is kind of crazy when you think about it this way. Who was the quarterback? There was no quarterback. Lance could have fallen. But it was Lance and Mac Jones that were likely to fall to them. And so when they said we didn't want to be left at the altar, at that altar, at 12 overall, there was no shot at Fields, I think. So it's interesting if they're...
Well, yeah, obviously.
But the verbiage for that, we didn't want to be left at the altar, like maybe they weren't even considering Fields. They might be now. His pro day was really good.
Yeah.
But, I think there's a lot of honesty to what they said, is that they wanted to fairly evaluate it and dig into it, and they didn't have a set, player in mind. I kind of feel like that's how they're going. But, yeah, Mac Jones more likely be a Bronco. I agree, Jay Problem. I've been predicting the Broncos trade up either to 4 or to like 6, 7, 8, somewhere in that range. But very, very strong chance that I agree with Jay Problem. Mac Jones will be on the Denver Broncos. I thought the Denver Broncos or the Carolina Panthers, but now with Darnold, Darnold rules it out. Like, if he naturally fell, they didn't have to trade up, I think the Panthers would take Mac Jones. But I think the Broncos fear that. The Broncos know that. The Broncos are a total draft day trade team. Like, I can envision that like no other. The Broncos on draft day, on the clock, or right before, trading up, getting into that like 5, 6 range, 4, maybe 4 overall, and you see John Elway smiling. They take Mac Jones. I could see it now. I can picture it now, because we've seen it with other quarterbacks. Locke, we've seen it with a number of quarterbacks that they're excited about, and then it doesn't work out. Mac Jones feels like that one quarterback too that potentially couldn't work out again too, right? So it's like, here goes John Elway again. But I think he could definitely be in Denver. I could see Mac Jones in Denver, and I think everyone's going to jump on the Jerry Jeudy train immediately, and Jerry Judy's going to be a top 10 to 12 wide receiver if he gets a quarterback. And Mac Jones could be okay. I don't hate him like everybody else. What do you hate about Mac Jones for the Niners? Like, what? Because you're gonna have to get over it. If they draft him, you're gonna have to smile.
I mean, yeah.
And not pretend you like him, but you're gonna have to get in line, bro. Because you will. What do you hate about him, and what do you like about him?
The thing is, because there's gonna be clearly like. Because it looks like the Jets aren't going to trade the pick now, right? So, like, I think just clearly looking at who's going to be available at 3, it's going to be Lance or Fields. And they have better, like, talent than Mac Jones.
All right.
I mean, I know I'm going to have to, get used to it.
You're going to love him. Like, if he's on the roster, like, week 1, you'd be like, Mac Jones, baby! You guys are going to be
And if that DUI stuff is, like, the true stuff, I think that also could play into a factor.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
Shanahan's decision.
Niners don't mess around with character issues, man.
Exactly.
That's why they didn't go after Watson. They said Watson.
They're like, after the Reuben Foster trade up that they made, the start of the era. They learned their lessons.
At the same time,
they stay away from those guys.
Then why is Jimmy G, the quarterback, he's hanging out with some shady people, right? Did I just counterpoint your counterpoint?
Yes.
It feels good, baby. I mean, Jimmy G, maybe that's why they're moving on. I don't know.
No, it's...
Kittle seems to want Jimmy G, but is that just Kittle being like, hey, that's my boy?
No. And that's also like even DJ Jones, like, a lot. There's been like players like Raheem Mostert that's been asked about this. There's been a lot of players have been asked like about.
And you're gonna back up your guy, but it seems like Kittle's passionate about backing him up, though. He's not just like, no, he's my dude. I'll do whatever they say. Like, he's like a little bit angry about it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, Jimmy G doesn't deliver the football to him, I think, in a way that like you can't replicate. Like, I think, I don't know, Lance. I'm telling you, man, I feel like I'm going to be right, and Lance is going to be the pick, and you guys are going to be so thrilled about it in the end.
Well, I'm actually kind of growing on Lance,
Yeah,
like
imagine,
to
dude,
being
imagine.
the pick. So.
3-dimensional playbook, bro. You can pass, you can run, and you can run. You can double run. You can double stamp the triple stamp, bro.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Giggles. I
All
think
right.
we'll have you come back next time, I think.
Okay.
All right, later, Giggles.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. That's the man we call Mr. Giggles because he can't stop. He can't help himself but giggle. And Giggles, if you change your background or your lighting, you're out. That's part of the package, bro. What do we got? 30 minutes left. Let's see if there's any other news. Antonio Brown, Tampa Bay Times reports there is still no sign free agent Antonio Brown is close to resigning with the Bucs. This is a tough one because Antonio Brown has to be under Tom Brady's watch. Like Tom Brady has to babysit Antonio Brown. He was like living with him or something in order for Antonio Brown to stay on track. It feels like the NFL just overlooked the entire situation. Like I don't know if this is me being fair or being real and nobody's talking about it, but why is no one talking about Antonio Brown and this potential issues he had that I'm not saying they're CTE, but they certainly felt a little CTE-like. His behavior, his erratic behavior, the violence, the complete out of nowhere craziness, and it got solved by Tom Brady babysitting the man and him going to a location there. He didn't get the football as much as he normally would have liked, but he was on a Super Bowl contending team with Tom Brady, the GOAT. They won a Super Bowl. The dude's happy as can be. You go on AB's Instagram Live, and he looks so happy and just the dude looks like a different person. But how did he get there? Did anything really get solved, or did it just get kind of glossed over temporarily? Because if he goes somewhere else and he's in a different environment, I don't think he will be. I think he'll sign for whatever. I think he's maybe posturing to get the best deal. But if AB did go somewhere else, man, it's fall apart time for Antonio Brown again. I don't see how he didn't fix anything. There was no sign of things getting better. It got paused. And I don't think we've seen the end of that and that version of Antonio Brown if he ends up going to a different team and he's unhappy. Doesn't have, why would you go to another team? He better not go to another team. If he does, he's gonna fall apart. I don't see any other way. Voicemails, call in. Mike Evans could have a monster year if he doesn't resign. I agree with that. The wide receivers for the Bucs are really hard to figure. Swept under the rug until the next flare up. That's the truth, man. And you know what? You want to know my opinion? I feel like the NFL should have looked deeper into Antonio Brown's mental state and tried to help him, because nobody talked about this looks like signs of X, Y, or Z. This looks like signs of whatever. This dude needs help. Everybody just kind of let him run wild, and then he goes to the Bucs, and then everyone just pretends it never happened. Like Antonio Brown didn't lose his crap. Antonio Brown wasn't off his rocker entirely. Everyone's just forgetting about it entirely. Like it doesn't exist. Like it won't come back. It's crazy. Let me see if I can get anybody else in here from my quad box team. If anyone wants on the show. Last 30 minutes. Arizona 12-5 J problem. I can get behind that, bro. The Cardinals need to draft. Let me put this on screen so we know what topic. AZ to draft a running back. So the Cardinals could draft a running back in round 1. Something I feel like a lot of people completely disagree with. And honestly, no one knows anything. But the Cardinals, if they have a great defense, they have a phenomenal set of offensive skill players, from Kyler Murray to Hopkins to even Kirk is really good. And I think they're going to have a much improved overall offense in general. But if they add a guy like Travis Etienne or Najee Harris, it makes Kyler Murray's development and ability to have defenses focus on other things than just shadowing Kyler Murray, who likes to run to the outside because the man can't see over the line. Let's be honest, it is some suspect decision making in the pocket. He likes to roll to the outside. He loves to throw from the pocket, outside the pocket. And good thing is Hopkins likes to catch a football from somebody rolling outside the pocket. That's why he loved Deshaun Watson's play style so much. So it's a good match, and the Cardinals are set up perfectly to have a really good year and have Kyler Murray take that next step. But the issue is, hold on. Let me copy this link. The issue is going to be that if they don't have an established run game, and Chase Edmonds is not the answer. Chase Edmonds is very much A.J. Dillon. Everyone was so excited about A.J. Dillon. I'm not comparing the two styles of play, but A.J. Dillon was set up to start and boom, yanked out from under the man. The rug goes, and A.J. Dillon is no longer the starter and no longer in fantasy relevance other than being one of the better backups in the league. Chase Edmonds right now is the starter. The rug's under him. It's going to get yanked, and whether it's Chuba Hubbard in the third round or second round, or Carter in the second or third round, or wherever these running backs fall outside of the top 3 running backs, or whether the Cardinals get bold and say, we have a couple holes. What team doesn't have a hole? But guess what? Our holes are not that big. We can afford to plug the biggest hole of all, which is running back. Chase Edmonds efficient. He's a good third down back or a backup running back or a change of pace back. No question about it. And for 4 or 5, 6 games, could he do really, really well? Sure. But he's not a full-time guy. He has trouble staying healthy. Chase Edmonds is not the answer. Najee Harris is a big enough playmaker and difference maker that if you inject him into the Cardinals offense, they become so much more dynamic. In a team like the 49ers, who struggle against quarterbacks that roam around and run, how do the Niners game plan against the Cardinals now when you have Kyler Murray, who you got to focus on and shadow, right? But now you got Etienne or Najee Harris running up the middle, and I think the Cardinals would actually lean upon the run game a lot more than people think if they had a big name running back come in like Harris or Etienne. But you put Najee Harris or Etienne on the Arizona Cardinals, the Cardinals become an 11-win team, not a 9 or a 10-win team. This is a much more dynamic offense. Etienne or Najee Harris make Kyler Murray so much harder to worry about and contain him, and it makes Kyler Murray grow and progress because he's still got a lot of growing to do. There's a lot of sus stuff going on with his game, but a lot of good as well. He's very dynamic, very good runner, very good in fantasy. But there's a reason why there was talk in Arizona in the Valley about Cardinals fans wanting a potential Kyler and Deshaun Watson swap to bring Watson over. That was before the whole news broke on Deshaun Watson, who's not going anywhere now, let alone playing 2021. Deshaun Watson may never play again. We'll see how that all shakes out. I addressed that at the top of the show, so watch from the beginning if you missed it. But there was a reason that Arizona Cardinal fans in droves, radio shows all over the Valley, reputable newspaper outlets, online newspapers and media sources talking about, hey, a lot of people are talking about this. The Cardinals organization's not, but a lot of people are, that if the Cardinals swap Deshaun Watson and Kyler Murray, even if the Cardinals had to give up a first-round pick, it is a significant upgrade to the offense. Even though Kyler's got the skill set and talent that Watson has, he's not quite on the level Watson is, and it would be worth giving up a first-rounder. You have people in Arizona that love it. You have people in Arizona that hate it. Most people outside of Arizona absolutely hate it, and they tell you, Why would the Cardinals give up a first rounder for a quarterback that's the same? That's my argument. He's not the same. He has rapport with Hopkins. Hopkins would probably be fine with either quarterback. I think he loves Kyler Murray, but he also wouldn't mind catching footballs from Deshaun Watson in that Cardinals offense and system. And Deshaun Watson would probably, even moving teams, pick up things very quickly and likely take the Cardinals to a deeper playoff run and maybe more. Now, Kyler Murray is certainly capable of bringing the Cardinals into that position as well, and the Cardinals could be a deep playoff contending team in 2021. I believe firmly that if they take Najee Harris or Etienne, it will escalate that and put that in a better position. It'll put the Cardinals in a better position to win multiple playoff games and not to mention make the playoffs. If they don't draft a running back or at least address the running back later, like a Chuba Hubbard, who I think would be fantastic later in the draft for the Cardinals. If they do that, they take a lesser, touted guy like Hubbard, who I think is as good, the Cardinals are going to be in prime position to dominate because they will then use their first round pick on another position and got Chuba Hubbard later and have the running back game figured out, at least protected. And if Chase Edmonds even gets to start over Chuba Hubbard, I believe Chuba Hubbard would take over in time. All it takes is a one little banged up owie poo for Chase Edmonds, and then Chuba Hubbard would be injected into the lineup and he would go crazy. But I love Chuba Hubbard. I love him on the Cardinals. I love him on the Niners. I love him on a bunch of different teams that might draft him, and he will fall to a pretty decent spot because I really think a team that drafts Chuba Hubbard is going to probably have the insight on this guy's potential. You never know, though. Teams have drafted guys before and failed to use them, and it sucks. But you got to be hopeful that they know what they have. They have a little Alvin Kamara is what they have. Whatever team drafts Chuba Hubbard has an Alvin Kamara potential running back. He's my favorite running back in the draft class. Not my number one ranked running back, but my favorite running back. Etienne is right there. Etienne is my number one ranked running back. I have him over Najee Harris, but I do believe that teams are viewing Harris as the more bona fide third down role type guy, whereas Etienne is going to be thought that way and looked at that way by some teams and not by other teams. So Travis Etienne will be kind of, I think, dependent on where he goes, and will a team love him? Will a team think he is, the best option? And they might very well think that, whatever team gets Etienne. So we shall see. We shall see. We have a good 15 minutes left. I'm waiting for more phone calls to roll in. I'm waiting for IG messages. Dollar Bill, if you're watching, where is my message? You can leave it via IG. IG message works just fine. Let me go to my Instagram and see if I've got any messages. Dollar Bill, leave a message. I got a voicemail here. Oh, that was from Giggles. That was from Giggles. My alleged nephew, I guess, is what we're calling him. Think Harris can be a world beater. Mr. The Common, I think Najee Harris has a lot of potential. I like Etienne better, but, bro, landing spot can make one better than the other like that. So don't think I'm naive to know that Harris can be the better option. Depends where he goes. The pass-catching Derrick Henry we all wanted. Yeah, I think he could have that potential. I don't know if I'll call him Derrick Henry. He's a big guy, but Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry's a different breed. Like, I don't know why people compare the two. I feel like Derrick Henry's built different, but I think he's more like Marshawn Lynch. I look at Etienne like a Marshawn Lynch, which is, I think, a compliment. That was a 6 to 10 overall player in fantasy football for a long period of time. So I think that he has that potential in the right spot. You put him in Pittsburgh, they have, they got some offensive line issues, but I think he would do well there. In Miami, he would do well. There's a couple places that he could fall. The Buffalo Bills could take him. The Arizona Cardinals would be the most ideal landing spot for Najee Harris, and I think they get the most out of his skill set. And Najee Harris in Arizona would be phenomenal, would be the number one overall rookie pick. And that's the difference in this running back draft class, is that not only could the one or two running backs switch, so Etienne and Harris, but Chuba Hubbard could be the number one running back if for whatever reason he landed with like the Niners, or you'd see Chuba Hubbard vault so high in some people's rankings. Javonte Williams could land with the Buffalo Bills or land with the Pittsburgh Steelers and become the 1.1 in all rookie only fantasy football drafts. Landing spot is so crucial for this running back class in 2021. It is different than other years where you have, one running back likely to move up or down based on landing spot. This is the one where 4 or 5 of them, you could put them in a freaking blender, or at least 3 or 4 of them. Like, so from Chuba Hubbard to Etienne to obviously Najee Harris and Javonte Williams. That's four players that literally could be the best running back based on landing spot. And there's others too, like Sermon. What if Sermon goes to the Niners? What if Sermon goes to the Cardinals? What if Sermon goes to the Steelers or the Miami Dolphins? What if Sermon falls in the second round to one of those teams and we're shocked that Miami doesn't go running back or something and they get him later? Or the Niners get him later. Let's say Sermon falls really far. It happens to running backs all the time. What if Sermon fell to the third round and the Niners grabbed him? You guys would be ecstatic. You'd be so pumped. I know Mostert's the guy and he's got the potential, but it's crazy. Yeah, Gainwell's another one. Jefferson. There's a lot of running backs. Hill's a guy that could do really well. Carter could be a really good running back in the right spot. But I'm really hoping that the Dolphins draft a running back, the Steelers, the Buffalo Bills, one of these teams, and especially the Cardinals, in the first round. I would love to see 2 running backs go in the first round. I don't think we'll get 3, but crazier things have happened. And even though running backs typically don't go in the first round anymore, I believe this is a weird year, a special offensive skill position year where the right teams are falling to the right picks where it makes sense to maybe go running back. Whereas these teams might be too high normally that are running back needy to want to make that investment. But it just so happens the Buffalo, the Steelers, the Cardinals, the Dolphins are even, mid-range, but low enough to where it makes sense and they don't feel like, okay, we're wasting or reaching too high for a running back based on historical, his history of drafting running backs the last 5, 6, 7 years. Running backs don't go in the first round anymore. They don't. But guess what? Nothing really matters. What happened last year doesn't really matter. What happened the year before doesn't really matter. It can help paint a picture. It can help us guesstimate. It can likely predict a lot of things, but it won't be a 100% locked and loaded predictive thing when it comes to looking at like that kind of stuff and trying to translate it into the 2021 draft. Harris could go to the Dolphins. The Cardinals could take Etienne or vice versa. And then you can see Javonte Williams go to the Buffalo Bills in the first round. It wouldn't shock me at all. Is it likely that 3 running backs go in the first round? Probably not. Is it impossible? Hell no. Anything could happen, man. Anything could happen. Harris could go higher than anybody imagines, or he could fall to the second round. We don't know. Running backs didn't go until the only running back taken in the first round last year was Clyde Edwards-Helaire. No one expected him to be the number 1 running back taken, and people thought the Kansas City Chiefs might look at him, and the Kansas City Chiefs might look at a running back, but a lot of people were shocked that they went running back with the last pick in the first round. He was the only running back to go in the first round. Jay Problem says, as a Dolphins fan, I would love it, but always pass on running back early, unfortunately. Yeah, bro, this might be the year you don't because you got multiple picks, right? So there's a chance that this Dolphins team is in prime position at every category, every position. They're looking solid. Like, are there holes in some places? Sure, but not big, gaping, crazy holes that make the defense bad or the offensive line bad or You guys can afford to go 2 offensive skill positions in this draft. You can afford to go Devonta Smith in the early first round. You can afford to go Etienne or Najee Harris in the second round. The Dolphins have, what picks do you have? You have, let's see, NFL 2021. I don't memorize all the picks, sorry. NFL draft order. Let me pop this sucker on screen. Let me take a screenshot of this and I'll throw it up. Son of a... Stop scrolling. Okay, here's the draft order. Let me drag this puppy up. Here's the 2021 NFL draft order, okay? So, Dolphins at 6 and 18 next year, problem. So, 6, the Dolphins could take Devonta Smith or Jamar Chase. If the Falcons go with Pitts, then Jamar Chase would be there. If the Bengals don't go Jamar Chase, that is, then Jamar Chase could go to the Dolphins, or they could take Devonta Smith. I think it's very, 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 very possible that they do. Then the Dolphins have the, what'd you say, the 18 pick? The 18 pick. Najee Harris would fall probably right there. More than likely, unless he goes to the Cardinals at 16. I don't think Najee Harris could go 13. It's not out of the realm of possibility that the Chargers say, give me an Eckler and an Najee Harris 1-2 punch, because guess when Eckler was at his best? When he had Melvin Gordon dropping loads. That's when this man did well. And Herbert may be able to use Eckler as a wide receiver like he had been used in the past, and I think Herbert is capable of getting him the football. It's probably not likely, but I'm just telling you that these possible landing spots, the Chargers would be the first landing spot I could envision in a crazy world, which we live in, right? Do we not? Do we not live in a world of unexpected things now? Like, give me a break. In a world where things are crazy, I could see the Chargers saying, hey, if we took Najee Harris, we'd have Thunder and Lightning back on this roster. And man, tell me that wouldn't be dangerous for the opposing defenses. You throw Najee Harris on this roster, give Eckler the PPR work he deserves. No one's stopping that offense. Herbert, MVP. But you know what? Teams don't always do that. Vikings aren't going running back, obviously. The Patriots aren't going running back. The Cardinals, again, are an option at number 16. Cardinals could go running back. They could go Najee Harris right there at 16. He's likely to be available. The Raiders, who knows? They could add a third running back. Why not? No, they probably won't. Dolphins, yeah. Dolphins, I feel like the Dolphins very, 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 very capable of going freaking Najee Harris or ETN right there at that pick, at that 18 pick. Redskins won't. Bears won't. Colts won't. Titans won't. Jets might. Jets could go ETN. What if the Jets went Zach Wilson and Travis Etienne? What if the Jets went Zach Wilson and I don't think Waddle will fall, but you never know. What if the Dolphins go Zach Wilson and Najee Harris? If for any reason he fell all the way down to 23, I don't think Najee will, but if he did, talk about transformation of an offense. I think the Jets would be on their way. And when you have the ability to cultivate and coach up certain non-skilled positions a little bit better than these skilled positions, to me, it is these difference makers. And I know I'm so fantasy oriented and I think offense all the time, but I'm thinking about it for certain teams, not everybody. I don't want ETN going everywhere. I don't want Najee Harris going everywhere. But if you give me Zach Wilson and Najee Harris together, you're talking about a transformation of the New York Jets in 1 to 1.5 years. This is Buffalo Bills type material once you get other pieces in place. I like Salah coming over from the Niners. He knows what he's doing as a coach. They brought over LaFleur. They know what they're doing. They're instilling a lot of successful blueprints that were used over in San Francisco. They're doing it in New York, and I think Salah will utilize Wilson a lot more than people might expect coming from a San Francisco run-heavy system. But they do want to run the ball. Salah's going to want to run the ball. Salah's going to like and see a lot of value and like the idea of drafting an ETN or especially a Najee Harris if he's there. Don't be shocked if the Dolphins or the Jets go quarterback, skill position. And it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me at all, Jay Problem, if the Dolphins ended up going quarterback at 6. It wouldn't shock me. It was talked about early on in the offseason pretty heavily, and then it kind of faded back. Everyone's like, no, Tua's the guy. The Cardinals did it. The Cardinals drafted Kyler Murray 1 calendar year after they invested in Rosen. And they said, I don't care. I don't care. We see Kyler Murray's the future. And if Miami's sitting there and Lance is sitting there, Wouldn't shock me at all if they went Trey Lance and they traded Tua, or they said we're going to deal Tua after. And, maybe the Broncos would listen. Maybe there's a draft day trade where the Broncos or even the Carolina Panthers, who got Darnold, would still be entertaining offers for a quarterback. There's options. There's options. I don't think it's crazy at all to think that the Dolphins would consider it. Is it likely? Again, no. I'm giving you a lot of different scenarios, and I'm telling you where I think things could go if things get crazy and unforeseen. I'm talking a lot of unforeseen stuff that's possible, but probably not likely. And that's the way NFL drafts unfold, is it not? Colin Cowherd said Jets take ETN. As I said, I very much see that as a possibility. Then we get to the Pittsburgh Steelers at 24. Let's say Travis Etienne goes to the Jets at 23. Let's say that the Dolphins take Najee Harris or the Cardinals take Najee Harris. Who's to say the Pittsburgh Steelers don't take Javonte Williams? Who's to say the Pittsburgh Steelers don't say to themselves, look, we need a running back. Big Ben can't do it anymore. He can be efficient and kind of manage the game at best. Let's get him a running back. We need Javonte Williams. They bring in Javonte Williams. All of a sudden, boom, you've got 3 running backs taken in the first round when people usually don't expect one to go or just one to go. Possible. Not likely, but possible. These are all possibilities, things outside the usual realm of possibility. Cleveland Browns aren't taking a running back. Obviously, the Baltimore Ravens aren't. The Saints are not. The Packers are not. The Buffalo Bills could. The Buffalo Bills could take a running back. Bucks could take a running back. Probably not in the first round. They probably would get crafty and try and get a Chuba Hubbard, try and get a Carter, try and get a Sermon or something like that. Sermon on Tampa Bay would be pretty sick. I could see that happening later in the draft. We'll reflect back on this. I think some of this could end up happening. But the Buffalo Bills, if it doesn't go running back ahead of them, like where 3 guys have taken, I don't think 4 could go, but you never know. But I think if one of ETN, one of Javonte Williams, and Najee Harris fall to Buffalo, and only 2 running backs have gone ahead, the Bills are a possibility for a running back in the first round at number 30. They are a possibility, not likely. We don't have a backup and would be solid, especially if Tua doesn't pan out. Yep. I agree, J Problem. Jets need a running back. Young. Yep. That's what I'm saying, Steve. I'm telling you, the moves to make for the Dolphins and the Jets are skill positions with both of the picks. And then all of a sudden the Jets turn around. Avi says this draft is going to be stacked first and second round type hype. Bro, we've never seen a draft like this in a long time where the skill positions dominate. It's been like defense, offensive line, defense, and then like, where's a quarterback going to go? Where's a wide receiver going to go? What about a running back? No chance of a running back going. No tight end is going to go high. We literally have it going quarterback, probably tight end, maybe wide receiver, but offensive tackle as well. Wide receiver, maybe quarterback, and then a couple other skill positions in here. But then we get to some defense and offensive line. But, bro, it's going to be like half offensive skill positions in the first round, which we've never seen before in a long, long time. Like, I'm excited about the NFL draft. That top 10 is going to be loaded with fantasy. You can bet I'll be live. Of course I'll be live. What do I look like? Yeah, so hit the outro music. Any questions you have on the way out the door? It has been real. It's been a quick 3 hours. This goes by so fast. I hope you guys all enjoy the Fantasy Football Show live. I hope you all think it's the legit up-and-coming show. Your drive time listen, your at work listen, or watch from your pocket while your boss is walking by and you're like, what's Smitty doing? I hear him doing something crazy. I got to pull it out of my pocket and see. I want to be that for you. The goal is eventually Monday through Friday, but we're kicking it off. We're wetting the beak a little, slowly. I don't want to bite off too much and not be able to chew it all. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, you can find me right here on the Fantasy Football Show live. If you ever get lost, just go to thefantasyfootballshow.com or smitty1.com. That's where you can find me. And right behind me, heysmitty.com. I've got a text service. You want me to text you? I have a monthly service. Do it for as long as you want. A monthly service where you and I can text whenever. So you have a fantasy question, have an NFL question, you need a Netflix recommend, I got you. Go to heysmitty.com. Order away. Get my text service, and you and I can correspond. It's often used for start bench advice, trade advice, whatever, but it is lit. It's replacing the email feature that I had. So it's all text, it's all rapid, it's all fast responding. That does it. That does it for the show. I'll see you all Thursday. Hopefully we have a lot to talk about with the news. Appreciate every one of you. Tell everybody about the show. Tell your grandma, tell your friends, tell everybody about the show. Smitty1.com and the fantasyfootballshow.com. Later.